We're going to go ahead and call the work session to order, and we don't normally do the Pledge of Allegiance before the start of this meeting, but we do have two Boy Scouts in the audience tonight, and we're going to ask John and Daniel to please come forward and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, the first topic is the Civic Center construction. I guess we're looking for an update from either Ryan or our Veritas team or someone. Hi.
Yeah, I'll do a quick intro. I give you guys a heads up. We were going to invite Veritas today. Veritas also did an update for the school board a couple weeks ago. And so we've asked them here to give you guys a little bit of an update, show you some photos. I know I've talked to a couple of you. Again, I'll extend the invitation if anybody wants to go out and get a tour. It's actually to a spot where a tour is worthwhile of your time. So if you guys want to get with me and get an actual tour. But I did ask Veritas to come and just give you a little bit of an update, show you some photos, and they're also going to walk you kind of through where we're at financially on the project as well. Veritas?
Awesome. So I'm Josh, project manager on this project for Veritas. We're the owner's rep. Let these guys introduce themselves.
Yeah, and I'm Hank Rose. I'm assistant project manager on this job.
So thanks for giving us the time to give you a little update on the Civic Center. Uh-oh. We're not moving.
Is it pointing over there? If you need
You're pointing it at me.
And if it doesn't move,
Don't worry.
I can't do it. Over here.
Or say next slide.
We put all of our money into
He's liking.
Yeah, didn't have any left here.
Yeah, I told you guys to take out and be way better than it is here.
There we go. Yep. This is the construction update. All right, we can hold there. So this is a drone view of the current progress of the job site taken 2 weeks ago. So you can see kind of generally what's the progress of where we're at right now. You got the left side there is the school side. That's area A. Center area is the towns area. That's area B. And then the right side is the event center where the events happen. So the center area there is the outdoor event space. And then the left and right sides, you can kind of see the parking lots developing. But overall, you can see bricks getting started on the event center. We have roofs on and windows are starting to go in. You'll see that in the other pictures, but pretty well dried in. And yeah, next slide. So just have this one other view in here from the back side of the building. You can see where the retaining wall is on the south side there. I guess that's the north side of the building. We're looking towards Rockville Road there, but that gives you a better view on the left and right side of the parking lots. And the brick has been going up on the back side. It's pretty well all the way around. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but on the school side there on the right is where we're ending up on brick. But next slide. So this is the event space. give you a little view. I just think these arches are really beautiful. You have them inside and outside of that event space and throughout the building. So we wanted to capture that just to show you in this update. The one on the upper left is on the interior of the event space. Well, walking into the event space there. And then the one on the right is, in the bottom right is the exterior of it, and the lower left is the actual interior of the event space. We can go to the next slide. The top picture is the mural area. That's the curtain wall as you walk in, the main entry coming from the south. We just thought that was a good progress shot of where the big mural picture is going to go. And it's just a nice glass front there. The bottom picture, we have the town area, the first and second floor, just to give you a progress shot of, there's drywall installed. We have mechanicals, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, all being installed. And we call that the build out. That's all in progress. Next slide.
Real quick before you go on, I just want to add to that mural wall. I think that could be an absolute beautiful feature of the entire space, right? If you're coming down the road and you see that. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah. This is the school side. The upper left corner obviously is, that was taken yesterday. That's the current progress on that area. And then a couple interior shots. The progress on the inside and the outside is working in a counterclockwise direction. So this area A, the school side, will be the last area to finish. Next slide. So now that you've kind of seen a visual of the progress update of the construction side, here's a schedule overview. Just want to let everybody know we're on track for the completion date of in November. We're complete 46% as of now, and we have about 54% remaining, just to give you an idea of where we're at in the entire construction process. So about halfway there. Some major milestones we completed up to now is the access to the job site from the developer. That was a huge milestone to get the job going. The foundation and structural work's all complete. Site grading and utilities are installed. There'll be some finished grading around the building left, but the rough grading and utilities are in. The building's pretty well dried in. B and C, where the drywall is in, that's all temperature controlled and dried in. And the start of the interior build outs is underway. So to give you an idea of where we're headed, currently we'll continue to progress over the next 2 months of window installation, which is on the school side. The interior build outs in all areas, and the school and office exterior brick, and the site lighting. I don't have a picture of it, but some of the parking lot light poles are going in, and I do know that, well, getting into the starting area, the asphalt will be coming. But starting over the next 2 months is the metal panels to help finish up the exterior facade. We're going to final order the furniture and interior signage. We're working through that. That should be, put a pin in that here not too long. We have a meeting on that this Wednesday, or Wednesday the 18th, next Wednesday. So that's exciting. And then asphalt and remaining site work. As soon as the weather breaks and the asphalt plants open up, we'll get asphalt down. And they're planning on setting the rooftop units. I think it was the end of this week.
Soon.
Was it today? Yeah. Today was a beautiful day for it. Next slide. Off to the budget. Can tell you that we are on budget. No change to that. The total project budget is 36 million. The town budget is 20, and the school budget is 16. And has been no change to that. We are on track. Currently, we are 46% complete on the overall construction. And the overall, 46 complete on the construction, and overall on the project, we're 36% build through February. And then I have made a note of the owner contingencies that we have left. So the owner contingency budget is about 3.3 million, and we have the remaining amount of almost 3 million. So we got some money left to play with.
So what's the difference? Say you're no change in the budget, but you're using up your contingency. What was your contingency for? Was it something that was unknown or?
Yeah, it was a mix of owner-directed items that changed throughout the project that we would add or changed. There was some design clarifications, and that's where the contingency comes into place, just for those unknowns. And there was a couple unforeseen conditions as well.
Do you foresee any unknown contingencies now? Because I would think that you'd probably get them early on in the project versus once you're 46% completed, you can kind of see the end of the road.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, I don't know, Ryan, if you agree, but it seems like we got a lot of them out front. And then I do feel Garmong is doing a great job of looking ahead and trying to foresee any of these.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I wouldn't say that I keep asking that question, Greg, and they keep telling me, well, as you go through construction, you still find other things. But the things we've gotten done, we've basically resolved any of those issues as we've gone along. Some of them are small things. Some of them are like we had to do some snow removal and there were some winter conditions, like those were unexpected things because we were later in the construction. That's actually probably been the majority of our costs. But there are other things like we realized we don't have AEDs in the building. Well, that's something we want to have AEDs in the building. So adding those costs and getting some of those things, those are owner contingencies too. There are things kind of along the way that we find. I agree with Josh. I think we're not expecting we're going to spend all $3 million of that owner contingency. I would expect we'll spend some more of it, but and
I want you to
Garmong,
say that. Will they say that?
yeah, they'll say that. And I guess,
agree.
and to remind you guys, when you approved it, Garmong also has a construction contingency, which is within their GMP, and there's still money left in that too. So some things that was outside of Garmong's control, that goes to the owner contingency. If there's other issues like construction side, those come from the GMP contingency or GMP contingency. So
Kind of like the elevator issue that we had.
right.
Okay.
And that even like that issue, like we just found out, we thought it was going to be a lot more expensive, and it $600, $700 or something like that is all it ended up costing. So, but that's what you're exactly right. Garmong is paying for that out of their contingency. That's not coming from the owner. So that's what, depending on what those things are, or there've been some things where the school has said, hey, we don't really like how this is shaping up. Can you change it? Or Suzanne and I realized we didn't put a cabinet above the copy machine and we wanted a cabinet. So we added in a cabinet. It was only $800 or $1,200 or something, but that came out of the owner contingency then, because we said, hey, these are things we want to make the building work and function the way we want it to. So again, none of it has been, again, I mean, you can see it's added up to something, but what have we had, like 26 change orders or something like that? I was gonna say, so, and again, they're obviously there's 30 of them and they've only added up to 300,000. So it's not that substantial that any of them that we've done. So,
And some of those were no cost change orders.
Right.
Some of them were credits. So
yeah, some of them are credits. Some of them we've shifted back and forth between pots of money with, again, all within the $36 million. Some of it has shifted over. We figured out like some things we're going to provide as part of the furniture. The signage we backed out of Garmong's contract, and we're going to put that into our furniture contract. So like some of those things we're moving money back and forth. It's still within the $36 million budget, but it's moving between kind of the different pots of money within the $36 million.
And when this is the owner's contingency budget, is that the town's owner contingency budget, and the school has their own, or is this an overall budget?
It's overall, that's the school and the town. So yeah, if at the end there's some percentage left, the town would get 55% of it, the school would get 45% of it. So we'd share, like that's what, everything is being broke down in terms of our share of the overall project.
yeah, that concludes the update as to where we're at as far as schedule, budget, and construction. This is This slide actually shows that mural in the background that David was speaking of, if any of you haven't seen it yet.
Ryan, who are we going to have do that mural? Do we have somebody local?
Well, great question, Greg, because I have it on the RDC agenda for Monday night. I had tried, I was working with the Hendricks County Arts Group and asked them to suggest somebody. They did not suggest somebody for me to use for the artwork. The physical, once the artwork is designed, the actual film that goes on that glass wall and the installation of the film is in the GMP, but the actual design of the artwork is on us. So since they didn't get anybody, it's now getting late in the process. We've found somebody to help us to actually do the design of the artwork. And the AVON that's in the front on that image is not in the GMP. It was shown, we had discussions on whether we really wanted to do that in the front or not. So the same company that's designing the wall, we're proposing to have them design and cost out what it would cost to do something like the AVON to decide if we want to do it or not. So we will at some point, once that design gets done, come back and say, is this something we actually want to do? Here's what we think it's going to cost. We didn't really know what that would be, so we didn't put that originally into the GMP. So again, that may be something that if we decide we want to move forward with, it would come out of the owner contingency. But I wasn't able to find someone to design it, so we're going to pay someone. The company's called Signworks.
What is it?
Signworks.
Signworks.
Yep.
Are they only doing one design, or are they doing a couple?
They're going to do a couple, and then we're going to have the ability to choose. Yep.
And is that something, what's the life of that once it goes up on the wall? Is that something we have to replace every so many years, or?
So that's a great question. What was actually spec'd by Structure Point could last a very long time. The question may become is, do we want it to stay for that long? Now, it's not inexpensive to put up and to buy. Do you guys remember what Garmong said was in the GMP?
Oh, for the mural itself?
Yeah, for the mural itself.
It was somewhere around, what was allowed was $80,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it wouldn't be inexpensive. So it's not something we're going to change like every 3 months, but maybe every 5-10 years, like we may say we want to change it. But if we want to keep it, it should last. It shouldn't all of a sudden like it fades out or something like that. It's
like
it should-
wrapping a car. Then
yeah,
just
it's
take
yeah,
it off.
basically like wrapping a car. And again, I think it's a little higher end than probably what a car wrap is, but
Keep in mind, that was an allowance of $8,000 for that.
right.
We didn't have actual prices.
So yeah, we're working on both those things as well.
Any other questions, or?
Do we have any events planned yet?
Another great question. So we do have a Main Street coordinator in the budget for this year. I had thought that we'd hire that person in the middle of this year. I've had some conversations with Republic. Part of the challenge is going to be the timing of all of this. So originally we thought the commercial development would be ahead of us, and it's actually inverted now. So the town is ahead of the commercial development. So my concern at this point is that they may not be done till like the end of 27. And so even if we start planning events, again, our plaza in the way it spills out would spill out into a construction area that's actively under construction. So I'm not sure how that will work. We would be able to start planning some stuff on the interior, but maybe not in the exterior. So I'm trying to decide what the right timing of that is and when we start planning events. But we have not done that yet, so no.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ryan, are you taking over the Riverwalk Economic Development District for Easton Gray?
Yes, actually, Anna and I will do this together. You guys will recall, and great feed-in actually from Robert's question, part of the goal of Easton Gray and the Riverwalk District is to be able to attract restaurants and to create energy and things like that. One of the problems Avon has is that we have limited liquor licenses as a result of our population. We did get some additional liquor license after the 2020 census, but most of those have been eaten up. So we thought this may happen when we did this project, and that's part of the reason we called it the Riverwalk District as well, because there's a provision in the Indiana code that allows you to create a Riverwalk economic development area. If you're within a certain distance of a river, or which is really defined as a waterway, you can create this Riverwalk District. Plainfield has done it with their town center for the same reason that we may not be able to get restaurants or whatever the kind of uses we want into the civic center if we're not able to generate additional liquor license. So if you create this special Riverwalk economic development area, it will allow us, the town has some control, and we get to recommend to the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms if they would issue, or the ABC, for them to issue a liquor license based on its proximity to the river. So the state has taken this economic development goal of, we want to create these vibrant areas around our waterways, which again is the same vision we've got for the White Lake Creek. But there are steps that we have to go through to create that district. And that's what I asked Anna to do some research on what those steps were. Easton Gray, the Republic Development folks, they're starting to work on getting their tenants. And this is a concern that their tenants have raised as well. Now, they still may not come in to the space until late 2027, but we don't want to wait till late 2027. We want to make sure that they can get the kind of tenants we want to support the town center development. And so I think this is something we should start to put in motion, but I didn't want to make that assumption. I wanted to have Anna share the information with you guys, answer any questions. And then if you guys are supportive of it, then we'll put it in motion and get an ordinance on one of your guys' future agendas to talk about it. So Anna, you want to take it from there?
Is this also known as the Dora District?
No, Dora is different. So Dora, it just allows you to walk around outside drinking alcohol. So you may have the Riverwalk District, and then you may create a Dora as well, but they're two different things. So you'll hear people talk about the Dora, and that's just a designated outdoor drinking area is basically what the refreshment area, thank you. And so a little different, but we would want to probably do, we may want to do a Dora too, but that's a future step because we want to find out who we get there. Then we'll work with whoever is in the town center and see there are certain requirements for the Dora district that if they want to allow people to go outside and drink, that they have to meet certain requirements. So we'll want to have that conversation with the restaurants and the businesses in the Riverwalk district to see that they want to support that. If they do, then we would create the Dora.
Yeah, so you guys should have a memo before you, and I'll summarize it for you because I know there's a lot in there. But essentially what you'd be creating is the Riverwalk District is what we call a municipal riverfront district or project. The statute calls it a project, but we're really considering it a district. Generally speaking, alcohol permits, both one-way, two-way, and three-way, beer and wine, liquor permits, essentially. There's a quota-based system that is enforced by the ATC Alcohol and Tobacco Commission in Indiana. That's why they essentially don't allow too many liquor permits to be issued in one geographic area. They normally have to follow that. This is kind of a caveat to that, which allows local governments to encourage economic development by attracting businesses that may want to serve or sell alcohol on the premises. So by creating this district, you essentially are able to recommend the issuance of permits to the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. And in doing so, the commission can ignore their quotas that they normally have to follow. And they can issue generally as many permits as they'd like, as long as it's supported by the creator of the district. In this case, it would be the town. So the process is actually pretty simple. It's just passing an ordinance like you normally do from the, legal side, but there is some administrative steps that would have to be taken and some requirements that you have to meet. And for the most part, in the planning that Ryan has done, you guys would meet all of those requirements at this time. The primary one, it's called a Riverwalk District. You have to be near a river. I know White Lake Creek might not actually look like a river, but it qualifies as a river, as a body of water. The district can't be more than 1,500 feet, a radius from the river. So you guys would meet that as well. It would go all the way out to US 36. And also you have to have contribution from both the local government and the state. In this circumstance, you would meet both of those requirements. Obviously, we have put money into this project, and so has NDOT by the improvements that are being made to US 36. Additional requirements are that you have to be in an economic development area, kind of attaching to that idea of economic development. So since it's in the Avon economic development area, you'd be fine there as well. So those are really all the requirements you have to meet. So you would pass an ordinance stating that you have met those requirements. And then once you pass the ordinance, then you're kind of able to start moving through the administrative process. That process really is coming up with an application for people in the district, these businesses, to ask to be issued a permit, to ask you to back them essentially to the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. And so they would go through the process. That would probably be processed on the staff level, and then it would come before you at a public meeting. They would ask for your recommendation, and then you would essentially sign a letter saying we recommend this business or this lessor to the Tobacco Commission. They do their own application like they normally would with the ATC, and then they would be approved. If they meet the requirements for the state, then they'd go through without having to look at the quotas. Some things to think about when we move forward with this process is the ordinance can be very general and say that you're wanting to encourage economic development in the area, or you guys have some leniency to kind of structure the types of businesses you may want to invite into that area. So if you wanted to put language as to, you're trying to encourage certain diversity in restaurant types or certain cultural experiences or cooperation amongst different groups in the town, those sorts of things you could encourage in your ordinance. And that would essentially be something that when they go through the application process, they're saying, does this business meet the goals that we're trying to achieve in this district? So it doesn't mean everybody who's asking for an alcohol permit, we're letting them all in. It's still going to come before you, and you can kind of make a decision at the time that they come before you. You can also have some written commitments that you require of these businesses, which is essentially saying that if we give you a permit, we want you to stay similar in use to what you are when you got the permit. So those are things you can require in your ordinance, that they make those written commitments. So therefore, if they lease the building to a different owner in the future, to somebody else, they can't completely change what's inside of the business and have a whole different purpose. You can say, no, you made a commitment that this is the type of thing that you were going to be doing. We're going to hold you to that commitment. But also you could modify those commitments in the future, just like you would on like a planning and zoning case. It's kind of similar to that. So yeah, really it's passing an ordinance, kind of directing staff to develop an application, coming up with different commitments that you may want to require of these businesses. And then we'd come up with a standard letter that we'd put before you that says, this is the business that wants to come in. They want your recommendation. Are you willing to give them a recommendation? Then they take that to the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, and they seek approval there. So it's actually a pretty simple process, and quite a few municipalities in the state of Indiana are moving in this direction as well.
What happens to that permit that's granted in the non-quota system? This business goes under, moves out, whatever, what happens to that permit?
That's
It dissolves, just goes away, or does it go back and somebody can bid on it? Does this increase the quota? Yeah.
That's a good question, and it would depend on the type of permit that they're issued. So depending on whether it's a one-way, two-way, or three-way permit, the same rules apply for all alcohol permits on whether you can transfer them or not. For example, three-way permits, there are structured rules on who you can transfer those to, and they would have to seek approval from the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, so they know who that permit's going to. So it would definitely depend on what kind of permit they have, but it's not just an automatic, they can transfer it to whomever they want. And again, those written commitments would be a really good way to make sure that you still retain control.
Question around quantity. Has Republic given us any indication of how many they think they would need? Whatever that number is, now a question for you is, is there like a limit on this process? Is there any metrics that we have that say, oh yeah, that qualifies, we've done 5 for that, or no, you aren't over this many populations, so you're only going to get 2? Is there any kind of rules on that?
There's no rules, and that's what's beautiful about it. You guys get to decide how many permits you want issued in that area. So the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission won't care because the quotas, they ignore the quotas and they leave that to your discretion because you're the one who's trying to develop that area. So that's really kind of the purpose of it, is that you don't have to worry about that. If you wanted it all to be everyone in the area to have a permit, you could say so, but it really lets you craft the kind of design and feel for the area.
Public giving us any kind of indication?
I think originally it was earmarked for 4 to 6 restaurants. So again, 4 to 6 is with the range I would expect. Now, if they get all kinds of interest in restaurants, they may say, well, yeah, we'd like 8. And if they have more interest in shopping, again, there may be some diversity between the restaurants. It wasn't just intended to just be places for people to eat. Now, if that's what we want it to only solely be places for people to eat and not to have shopping. And again, it was supposed to be mom and pop shops too. And like other things that people could do, walk around the downtown and do other stuff, ice cream or whatever. So it could be some of those things, but those things wouldn't require that permit. So again, those other uses could be there, but I think in general, 4 to 6 restaurants is probably what we're looking at.
And Anna, if we make a recommendation, is it pretty much a given that then they would get this license, or is that still some kind of determination made by ATC?
It would definitely be a strong recommendation, but it's entirely up to them. They are the one that issues the permit. As long as they still meet all the other requirements outside of the quota, then they would likely get the permit. There are different things they have to qualify for with the state, like they can't have done. It depends on have they had permits in the past with violations, those sorts of things is what the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission is going to be looking at. So we definitely can't force them to issue the permit, but it really just says don't look at the quota is really all that we're doing here, is saying just ignore that part of it.
Okay.
I see an application fee. We already discussed, or some research around what we should charge and or what that application would look like. Do you have recommendations on that?
Yeah, I've looked at some and I kind of gave you a range. I know it's a really large range. So you'd want an application fee, not only for the initial application, but over time, you're going to also have renewals or potentially to kind of get rid of, if they want to transfer, those sorts of things they're going to be coming to ask you for if they're moving out of the area. And so some are really low, some are upwards of $1,000. Usually the initial fee, I think I said is, yeah, $1,000 to $1,500. The application fee initially is going to be more expensive than the fee for in the event they're going to try to remove their permit, essentially, because there's usually more work involved in that. My recommendation is that staff, we kind of see how many staff members are we going to need to work on this process and kind of do some math there before we come to a decision on how much that's going to be.
What about input from our law enforcement, 1, and then 2, you issue this permit, how do we supervise it? You get maybe an establishment that we have issues with. How do we take it away? Do we have that all lined up too?
So in terms of, they have to still follow all the same laws as anybody in the state of Indiana that has an alcohol permit. If that would be the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission that has the ability to revoke the permit. But we can enforce our written commitments in a unique way. So if they are operating in a different way than we force them to have a commitment, then we do have a cause. We can go after them for those commitments and require them, or we can pretty much report that they're violating the written commitments to the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission and ask that their permit be revoked.
So if there's a hearing, does it have to go to the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission hearing
If there's a hearing on them
on an establishment?
yes, that they control they're the ones issuing it. We don't issue any permits, so we can't take them away.
Well, you know, they have issues down in Indianapolis. So I just don't, I'm fine with doing what we're doing and I support that. But if we get a bad apple, we want to be able to react to it quickly, not at the whim of the ATC downtown who doesn't even come out to Avon and they won't listen to what we have to say to either suspend it, remove it, or whatever action is taken. That's my concern.
Absolutely.
So we have a really good working relationship with ATC as well as the state excise police. So anytime we have a problem with another establishment here in town, that's an ATC regulated business. We work with excise we immediately send those reports. We get their licensing number, which they're required to provide to us upon inspection. They're required to report any and all crimes, criminal activity, any kind of other nuisance on the property that might be related to the alcohol sales. And then once they get that, excise goes, and then they go and they do an on-site inspection. They do their own investigation, and then they report that to the local ATC board here for the county. And then after if they get so many of those violations, then the local ATC board can recommend or make a motion to put them on some type of probation or refer them to the state ATC so that they can have their license either temporarily removed, suspended, or they can also be put on another type of probation at that level. We currently have one establishment that's on that right now. And it seems to have I won't jinx this, but it seems to have quieted things down. And they seem to be doing really well on that program. So as long as they're required to follow the same ATC regulations and laws of reporting and licensing requirements, and to cooperate with any on-site inspections when we come on premises, it should be just like what we're already dealing with some of the establishments. So it should be good.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you. Moving on to animal control.
Yeah, this was a fun one. One of the things you always kind of thought you'd never talk about, but you end up doing when you work for a town. So you guys may have heard that the county was having some issues with their shelter. And so the county did some review of their policies. And I think, again, I'm trying not to speak for the county and what they're doing, but I'm trying to pass on what I've heard from Todd McCormick, the county administrator, that when they kind of went back and looked, the whole reason they created animal control was to deal with animals that were dangerous to the public. And that at some point in time between when they created it and to where they are today, that mission expanded to, we just want to help animals and things like that. And so the county wanted to get back to their mission of, we're really only concerned about public safety. And so what the decision that they've made is that they're going to shift their animal control underneath the sheriff's department. And so when they do that, it changes things a little bit. The way it's functioning now is animal control was a service that the county was providing to everyone in the county. The town, obviously, we don't have an animal control department. But now that they're shifting it to the sheriff has taken a little bit of a different tact or approach on how he's going to deal with it. And so I'm going to let Sean speak to that in a minute. But again, Todd McCormick presented this to all the town managers. We do monthly town manager meetings, and Todd normally joins us. And he made us aware of this issue, and we all kind of had a similar reaction. And when I say all of us, it was Danville, Avon, and Plainfield. Is, hey, that's great, but you're not just going to try to dump this on to the towns, right? Like, you're going to come up with a county solution on how to deal with this issue. And Todd kind of didn't necessarily answer it, but kind of said, well, yeah, I think that's what we'll try to do. Well, I don't think that's really what the county did. I think the county came up with a solution that they want to do. And now they're kind of dumping it in all the municipalities. And again, the discussion with all the town managers were, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for us to go create 6 animal control units in the county so that each town has its own animal control, and that we try to do this. This makes sense for it to rest with the county and for the county to be able to provide those services. And of course, then I know you guys have heard this debate. The debate comes, well, then maybe all the towns should pay for it, at which point the town managers all heads exploded and said, what do you mean we should pay for it? We're all paying county taxes now. Why would we have to pay more to provide those services when the county is already collecting taxes from our residents that is supposed to be going towards this service? And so Todd kind of said, I understand, but that's not the way the county sees it. And we think that, everybody should pay their fair share. But again, it appears based on the way the county is dealing with the situation that they're not trying to come up with a collaborative solution that's good for everybody. It looks like they're pushing it down. So I think that's my piece of the component. I'll share with Sean and let him share with you what the sheriff's doing and how he's approaching animal control. And then we can circle around and get your guys' input on how you think we should proceed forward.
I'm going to let Deputy Chief Margison address this. He's been working on this with the sheriff's deputies who are also working on this.
So some of my notes may be a little bit repetitive of what Ryan had mentioned, but animal control and animal shelter were one entity. They began to have issues at least last fall when they made a removal of the chief there. And they were sitting down, having discussions, trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sounds like they had slight communication with Ryan through the town manager meetings and things, but no communication with law enforcement at all, at least with our department. No concern for how this would be an impact to town budgets. Until last month at the county chiefs meeting on the 17th of February, we were just notified by Sheriff Sadler and Colonel Larson with a packet of Indiana law that related to animal laws and crimes, and advised about state requirements for bite reports. And here's this packet, and we're no longer going to be taking animal runs in the town incorporated areas. And we will only respond to county locations. We're not going to be coming to pick up dogs that might be in a vehicle that you need to impound unless it's aggressive. And pretty much just tossed the ball and didn't want any more communication about it. And that's the way it's going to be. That's the feeling that we got. And I think seemed like that's the feeling Brownsburg and Plainfield had. They actually took over animal control duties from the county on January 1st. So there was at least a month and a half they could have maybe had some of these conversations with us until just dropping it at this chiefs meeting, but they didn't. They said they would only respond for aggressive animal runs, and that's it. Well, little did they know, 2 days before this meeting at the chiefs meeting where they told us this, our officers had a situation with a dog on the 15th of February that was in a vehicle. We needed to impound the vehicle. The dog was not aggressive, but we didn't know that was their policy because they didn't convey that to us yet. So we were trying to get a hold of an animal control officer, and they made 3 or 4 attempts and got a hold of no one. And then the sheriff's department supervisor spoke up and said, "We're not doing that anymore. That's your guys' problem. So if you don't have anywhere for this dog to go, you need to take it to the shelter." Okay, great. We can do that, but what are we going to do? Just sit outside and wait for them to open the next morning? And they said, no, we have the ability to fob you into the building and can help you put the dog in a kennel there, but we're not coming to get it. So now it's our responsibility to transport non-aggressive animals to the shelter on our own if we don't have anyone to take the animal, and they will meet us there to put it in a kennel. So that's kind of where things are now. Chief Stoops and I have received 2 separate emails now. I'm sure that number is only going to grow from residents within the town wanting to know, we know that this is what the sheriff's department's now told everybody. What are you guys doing to train your people to handle these things? And we're worried about the animals, and you don't have the proper equipment, and you don't know how to sanitize vehicles. And so that's where we are now. And that's where the chief comes in and Ryan come in.
So after learning this, I had a meeting with our legal staff. To the best of my knowledge, and I believe what I was explained from our legal staff, is there's no statutory requirement that requires us to do this. The second part of that is this is not a law enforcement function. This is typically handled by another division that a city or a town would develop through some type of maybe code enforcement or something of that nature. Before you get too far ahead on that, Mr. Taylor spoke up very quickly and said, but I don't want our code enforcement doing this as well because they're not trained, they're not qualified to do this. They don't have the physical resources. We don't have the location to store animals in a short interim or anything like that. And he explained to me that he has other clients who actually contract this out. So it would help us avoid assuming any extra liability. We have nothing in the budget, I know on the police side, to spare to create any kind of a section or a division to do this. I know that this budget's set for the town as well for the rest of this year, which is another issue. You know, if we maybe had been told this last year, this could be coming, maybe that would have helped us prepare a little bit better as well. I don't feel like we're putting our officers in danger, even if it's a non-aggressive dog at that time, because if they respond, that dog could turn aggressive. We don't have the equipment, the training, or the proper vehicles to transport these animals. I know that the sheriff said that they would continue to respond to the aggressive animals, but I do not want our officers responding to any of these runs. And I think one of the other issues is they were wanting us to file these bite reports that seemed kind of almost not redundant, but almost as if we would file this report, then it would go to the state, then it would go back to, I believe, animal control. So it seemed almost like it was kind of an unnecessary step for us to even be involved in it.
Chief, it would, actually, they advised it would come back to us.
Right.
And we would have to investigate and do the follow-up and make sure the dog was quarantined and all those things.
Yeah, so animal quarantine was another issue, and we were advised that they would not be quarantining non-aggressive animals at the shelter. You were to instruct the owner of the animal to self-quarantine on an honor system for non-aggressive. But my question is, how can they be non-aggressive if they've already bitten someone?
It doesn't make
Just
sense.
because they stopped being aggressive. So there's a lot of areas that are left uncertain. I don't feel like we have the ability to do this. My plan was to let our officers know that they would not be responding to these calls. I would also be notifying our dispatch center to not dispatch our officers there. But before we take that step, I wanted to get the input from the council because this could cause a little bit of an issue from the public because they're going to want to know why I called the dispatch center for this stray dog. The sheriff's department said they don't come out for that. So call the Avon police, and then they call for Avon police and we say, we don't do that. So there's going to be a stray dog out there.
So this isn't just an Avon issue, it's a countywide issue. So why can't we take the position of a united front, Plainfield, Brownsburg, Danville, Avon, Pittsburgh are all on the same page. So we're all united as we go back to the county.
You could do that. This is going to go probably to the county commissioners because that's going to be their decision.
Well, that way you can tell them they're barking up the wrong tree.
Ha, 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 ha.
Sean said this isn't statutorily required of us. Is it statutorily required by anyone? State or county is what I'm poking at?
So usually the county does this, provides this service. A lot of, at least Dan's clients, they contract it out or they have a division developed to deal with this issue. If the county chooses not to do it, it does follow the sheriff's office, which is what's happened here. So they are doing what they are required to do, which is respond to dangerous dogs. But the issue of stray dogs, impounding dogs, that's just doesn't get provided for. No, there's no law that says anyone's supposed to provide for it. There's typical standards of what happens, but no, the town is not required to do this. They aren't required to direct their police officers to do it or to direct code enforcement to do it. You may do so if you so choose, but you are not required to do so.
Have we talked to our lawmakers? See their opinion or thoughts on this? I can't believe that that's their opinion is, we don't care. If you want to do it, you do it. That doesn't, it's not Indiana's way. And just have,
Well, you're just talking dogs. There's stray cats. There's any other animal that's out there.
There's ducks that fall down storm inlets, there's geese that get trapped. I mean, we have all kinds of weird stuff that happens. My staff just laugh, but those are things that happen. In the past, we've always called animal control and they don't.
Well, it's important to separate the wild animals from the pets, because animal control even before would not come out for any wild animal. You had to reach out to DNR. If they had someone in the area, I think we have one officer for about 6 or 7 counties for this area, so it's hard to get them out here. So that usually doesn't happen very quickly, if at all.
I agree with you, Greg. This is gonna turn out to be a local fiasco. And if we can get the communities together, go back to the commissioners, back to the sheriff. Let them know how the communities feel about this issue. Just lay it right back at their feet, and if they want to ignore it, then what the citizens are going to do.
I would agree. I mean, has AIM said anything either? You know, I mean, it's going to be a statewide thing, I'm assuming.
I mean, Sean, like this just happened like in the last 30 days, like, and again, even when it was shared with us from Todd, he made it sound like it was coming in like the next 4 to 6 months. Like just, hey, I'm giving you a heads up, this may transpire. But it's happened like so quickly that I don't think anybody has had a chance to respond or again, even if we want to go to the legislature, which I mean, they're already out of session.
Right.
So it'll be 2027 before that can even be taken up. But certainly we can have those conversations. And again, I appreciate Greg and Bill and Dawn's position. Like, I think that's what we would like to do is work with the other towns, take a united front, go to the county and try to get them
And have one voice.
and have one voice and try to speak on behalf of all the towns. We didn't want to do that without assuring that the council was supportive of us doing that. Or again, if you say you want us to stand up animal control and you want us to provide that service, we'll do that if that's what the council wants. I'm not recommending that to you, but we wanted to give you that opportunity to give us direction before we do anything.
I just think in this fiscal climate that we have with the changes in the laws and the funding that every municipality's been forced to deal with starting January 1 of this year, that we can't all go build an animal shelter. We can't hire the employees, staff it. We can't. So they're going to have to come up with another solution. And the solution is we pay the county for certain services, and that would be one of them.
Well, they already have the shelter. They have the
Right.
facilities.
Exactly.
It's just been mismanaged.
Yes.
And now the easy way out is to give it to us
Yeah.
to fix their problem.
Right.
That's the issue.
Why don't we find out if the other communities fit the same, if they're willing to join forces or not, because without them, we're not going to be very much.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely say, again, the Plainfield and Danville, we're in the same situation as me. Like, we could speak as town managers that we didn't appreciate that, we didn't like that approach, but nobody had a chance to talk to their councils to confirm that. So yes, absolutely, that's what I'll read. I think Plainfield, there was some discussion, and again, Brownsburg doesn't participate in our town manager meetings, so I don't know what Brownsburg was, but I think Todd shared that he thought Brownsburg was interested in potentially starting their own, which even if that's the case, like we kind of joked and said, well, if Brownsburg wants to do it for the whole county, that's fine. Brownsburg can go do it for the whole county, but so I don't know where Brownsburg stands. That's the one I can't speak to, but without a doubt, Plainfield and Danville were not supportive of this municipality by municipality creating, again, it's really inefficient way to provide services. And like you said, Dawn, in an era of fiscal constraint and trying to provide efficient government services, this isn't the way to do it. We're working backwards. So
You said this is going to be in front of the commissioners, or it's already implemented, right?
it's already implemented. So I don't know how that decision got made at the county level.
Yeah, so they have contracted civilian employees to take over the shelter. The sheriff has employed people to be animal control officers. Some of those are retired sheriff's deputies and things of that nature. And then they have their own policies and training on how to do that. The commissioners have already given them the green light to do all that. What I'm saying is if you decide you want to take this anywhere, that's where it's going to have to go. And there's nothing in the pipeline right now a date set for that to happen.
I know that it was a heated discussion at some commissioners' meetings already. It overflowed into the lobby area and even into the overspanding
Yeah.
room that they have there. So it is a big topic that a lot of people, resident-wise, are upset about. And you're right, it lies at the commissioners.
My number one concern is the safety of the officers that are responding, then the safety of the animal for that matter, because if we don't know what we're doing, we could unintentionally hurt that animal. Another issue is the financial part of it that we've suddenly been thrusted into. We haven't even talked about what Highland's going to say when it comes to our workers' comp and our liability. How's that going to impact those premiums as well? So there's so many things here that we're expected to do within 2 weeks. And it's not even really our responsibility.
Well, and we're already short-staffed on police officers just to take care of our own general humans in our community. This could be something that the township could do, is be part of their financial assistance. They could have financial assistance for the township. I mean, how are you going to do? You say, okay, do you live in Avon or do you live in the township? Avon, you handle it, or no, the sheriff will come and handle it. So if you're going to do this, structure it the right way, which I don't know what way that is, but let the township do it for the whole township.
Those are fantastic points. We made Commissioners.
In the interim, though, I strongly oppose sending our officers on those types of calls for service. And that's kind of what I'm kind of looking for a consensus here tonight from the council is in the interim, do I have a consensus to instruct our officers to not respond to those runs unless it's an aggressive animal and the sheriff's department's far away and it's attacking someone? We will most certainly go there and we'll try to intervene and save that person's life or that child's life, whatever it might be. We'll be there for that. But if it's a bite that's already occurred and someone needs to go there and do an investigation, that needs to go to the sheriff's department. If it's a stray animal, I don't want our officers going there and collecting stray animals. You don't know stray animals' vaccinations, if they've had any, parasites, everything that you're bringing into your car, because we don't have a vehicle to go collect these animals. We have one pole that our canine officers use when they have a canine that doesn't respond to training properly. They have to get a hold of them, but they're the only ones that's kind of trained in how to use that. There's protective gear that you need. I just don't want to send our officers out there until this is rectified with a solution that addresses all of these issues.
Anna, do we have any liability if we don't send officers on these runs?
I wouldn't say that you have liability. I mean, as you know, you can always be sued for anything. But no, I wouldn't. You don't have a duty. I mean, usually in order to have liability, you have to have a duty of care. And in this situation, we would not, because we're not statutorily required to provide this service.
I'll be the first to say it. I don't want you going out there for it.
I can't imagine the needs
I didn't want to ask this. I want to preface this by saying I support the plan to united front and push back on the commissioners. I wholly agree that's where this should lie. That said, I'm trying to look forward in case this doesn't work. What might this contract cost? What's What are we looking at potentially budgeting for next year? No idea.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea. I mean, that's the problem. We have no idea the quantity of runs that the county was doing before. I don't think we have any information. I think Anna just suggested maybe $50,000 to $60,000, but again, we have no idea. It's going to depend on, yeah, a shot from the hip. But again, until we know the number of runs and how often they do it and what the frequency is, there's no way to know. Probably yes.
Well, I don't know if this necessarily needs to have us spin up a whole department. I like the idea of us having a contract with someone and let them deal with quarantining and cleaning and capture and all that and the liability of it. But right now we don't have any of that. We don't have anything. So to answer your, I don't know if you heard it. I'm not. If we have no liability, I don't want to increase our liability by having our officers deal with something they're not trained on or have the equipment to deal with.
I would have to agree with that statement.
I agree. We don't have any liabilities. I mean, I don't want to just plead ignorance or just not be sensitive to the issue, but they threw it in our face. And if we don't have a liability, we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. We got to stop and hit the brakes and give it back and say, no, we don't have a liability. We're not doing it.
It sounds like the municipalities didn't even have a chance to initially respond before a decision was made, to at least collaborate on a countywide answer.
Correct.
Sean, do you have everything you need from us on that?
I think so. Thank you.
Okay, we have some time left, so relinquishing a portion of County Road 525 East.
Just gonna talk loud. So I'm gonna let Steve talk, at least start you through this. Go ahead, Steve.
So County Road 525 between US 36 and Main Street is supposed to have improvements that.
They want to record it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We have an MOU with Easton Gray to make the improvements that are required in that stretch of road. And those improvements are slated to be about $500,000 right now. We're thinking it might go down because of the ATL project. We're doing some coordination with them and they actually have some overlap in what we were going to do. So, but $500,000 is a good round number. So we'll use that. That's only to do the work to improve the road. The road was recently repaved by the county and is maintained by the county. And so we'd have to have permission from the county to do the work, and we do have that permission. But the county, in addition to that $500,000 of improvements, wants us to also repave the whole road that was just paved. I can't be too upset with them because I would require someone to do the same thing for us. Whenever we create new seams, it's a point of infiltration of water. It looks aesthetics, maintenance wise, you want a monolithic surface if you can. So I'm not upset with them for that requirement because I would make that same requirement, but I don't want to do it at the same time. So I got a plan. I would like to ask for relinquishment of that stretch of road from the county. And I talked to John Ayers, the county engineer, and he said that he thinks that the commission would be amenable to that request. What that would save us, it would save us about, it'd save us about $60,000 of paving, milling and paving areas that we wouldn't need to pave otherwise. It'd also give us authority over that road. It would not give us any liability for the rest of the road because or the properties adjacent to it, because that would still be outside of our property. We just maintain the road like we do in other places, other stretches of road, like 100 South by Ronald Reagan. There's a stretch that's not in either side's not in our jurisdiction, but we took over maintenance of that section of road. We do it, there's multiple places. So it would save us the $60,000. Now, that's a good amount of money to save, number one. Number two, it would keep us from having to do further improvements, because again, we would have authority over that road. We would get to choose what's done. The state would put it on our inventory. It's nominal what we get per mile. It's like, I think it's like $700, $800 a mile we get every year per mile for maintenance, but we would get that money in our budget. So to save the $60,000, I think it might be worth our while to do that. Plus, I think at some point, not too distant future, we might be annexing. In fact, the car dealership was supposed to have been annexed years ago, right? At some point, we were going to annex the car dealership.
I don't think we're contiguous.
Yeah, we're not contiguous yet,
Yeah, but
we're trying to get there yet.
yeah. So at any rate, the point is, at some point, it's going to be ours anyhow. So I just have some heartburn of spending $60,000 of taxpayer dollars for something that we don't really have any control over. So
if I understand this, if it's the county owns it, and we have an MOU that we're gonna fix it, and they want us to repave it. And we don't want to, but because they're the ones that control it, how much would it cost to repave it?
to repay the part that they want us to do that we shouldn't have to do, that's the $60,000.
And if they relinquish it to us, we're not gonna spend that 60,000 then?
No, I'll spend 6,000. I'll spend 6,000 putting reclamite on it. So that way it protects the surface. So the thing that we'd worry about is that having a problem with water infiltrating. Well, I'll put the reclamite on there and I don't have that problem. So I will spend 6,000. I don't want to spend 60.
So really, that's the only, you're gonna spend $6,000, they're gonna relinquish it and everything's the same.
Yeah.
We have to put more money into this road according to the MOU.
Yeah, right now we're putting $500,000 into it. And so then we're putting $500,000 into someone else's road. But I mean, that's part of the MOU.
So yeah, maybe a quick step back. So let me explain. Part of the traffic study for Easton Gray recommended two improvements. It's a southbound left turn lane on 525 at 36, and then a northbound left turn lane at Main. So if you're looking at that exhibit, that's what we're building. We're putting in that southbound left turn lane, and we're putting in the northbound left turn lane. Again, this is one of the requirements for NDOT when NDOT issued the permit, was that these road improvements had to get done. Part of the reason for these road improvements is because when you go down Main Street, remember the road's not going to go to 36 anymore. It's going to go into Easton Gray. So NDOT wants a place for people to get off. If you're going eastbound on Main Street, you can turn right on 525 and get to 36 and avoid Easton Gray. Likewise, we're taking away that right in, right out by Cabin Coffee. And so if you want to go past Easton Gray and you don't want to drive through it, you can drive by there. You can come to 525, turn right, and you can go north. But now there needs to be capacity to allow that left turn movement at 525. So these improvements were improvements that were a requirement of the traffic study. The town is getting infrastructure contributions from Easton Gray that we committed to then doing those road improvements, which is why we're doing the road improvements, because they're needed for Easton Gray. And so that's why we're in this situation in the first place. The county is not requiring those improvements. We're needing to do those improvements for Easton Gray. When we did it, that's when the county said, well, that's great that you're doing that, but at the same time, we want you to repave the whole thing. So does that make more sense than why we're in this situation in the first place?
So the road becomes ours.
It becomes ours. Yeah, and so if I can delay this work until next year, then I can get it done at half the price because it'd be CCMG money. But it's not my road. I can't do it under CCMG right now because I can't use CCMG money on someone else's road. So I could save $250,000 if we can get it to be ours.
Wait till next year,
It can't wait till next year?
No, because we got to put it in the same time as the improvements reaching Gray.
So we have to do it now. All right, well, then I have it designed. It's already designed and ready to go.
It's designed, we've already bought the right of way, and we're actually, and we're talking about in May bidding it. Construction would be June, July.
To me, it's not that much road, so why not take it?
Well, if we're gonna put in all the improvements, we might as well control it.
Yeah.
So the next step then is for you guys to tell me that I can then ask the county to formally relinquish it, and then that would go before the commissioners. And so if you're all in agreement, I don't know. I guess I just need head nods.
I'm in agreement with this plan, but I just want to make sure it's said. We're now taking over the cost of this road
Right,
with no taxes coming from it.
right.
Right. Well, no, we get motor vehicle, a nominal amount.
Yep, we're not getting for any properties on it.
Oh, yeah, no,
I
you're
just
correct.
wanna make sure it's stated, so we're all clear that we're not really being able to pay for this in the future.
Right.
Ongoing, until we eventually, hopefully.
Well, like Ryan said, we're getting credits from East and Gray to help pay for it as
Sure.
well.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
The road's essentially been paid for already, for the improvements that we want. But 7 years from now,
Yeah.
you're gonna need to put a new coat of reclamite on it. We didn't get any extra funds for
Well,
it.
you better get it annexed.
15 years from now, that road's deteriorating and it needs to be completely done. We didn't get any tax money for it. That's, I like the plan. I want you to move forward with it. I just want to make sure this is not green. I want to make sure that's stated. That's all.
I got you. I think there's still return on investment at this point. And even 7 years from now, it'll still be a positive return on investment.
Now, can we hold him to that?
Yeah, because in 7 years, I'm going to spend another $6,000 on reclamite. I'm not going to have to pave it again.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Again,
No,
I like
it's a
the
valid
idea of
point.
this.
And you guys will remember that this was kind of the discussion we had back when we did the 100 South project with the county. And the county said, well, we'll give you all the roads in the entire township, but we're not going to annex it. We're just going to relinquish all the roads. And we were like, yeah, we're not doing that. But again, that scale versus this scale are kind of two very different things. So again, this is a very small segment of road. It would give us some control over it. And again, I think Steve's plan is a good plan, and I think it makes sense. It doesn't make a ton of sense for us to spend $500,000 and then say, county, here you go. It does make sense for us to manage and control it.
I do want to ask Anna one question. Because we've had something in the past where we took over some property and we inherited a prior issue with that property, there's just been a serious issue that occurred at this intersection with the town taking over that. Does that potentially bring us into some liability?
Well, the intersection wouldn't be ours if you're talking about US 36. That would still fall under NDOT's jurisdiction.
Okay, I just want to make sure because we've been through it with personal property before.
Yeah, no, so the right of way from NDOT and then north would be ours.
Okay.
This is more of a, I don't know, human or political kind of question. Is this going to open up Pandora's box for us with the commissioners? They've already pushed us to try
Not as
to.
much as the animal control.
Fair enough. Roger.
No, I mean, in general, I think the commissioners will probably be agreeable to this. I don't think it'll be a confrontational issue with them.
Well, I'm meaning, I don't.
That makes for the.
I don't want them next month to go, hey, well, Avon took over this road. Do we want to just give them all of Washington Township's road again? Can we start talking about that? That's the Pandora's box. I didn't.
And that may not be a terrible discussion for us to eventually have again. I mean, again, that discussion goes along with our goal of
Sure.
what we're trying to accomplish, which is we want to annex the donut areas and the areas. And so if that conversation works its way towards the county being supportive of that, then again, I don't think we'd be amenable to the discussion of you just take all the roads, but we're going to keep all the property taxes. I don't think that discussion goes far, but, and sorry, just to answer your question, she wasn't really aware of that situation, but
okay.
I gave her a heads up, so you want to answer that now then?
Yeah, I think I heard part of your question, but when we take on roads, I mean, we are responsible for constructing them and with engineering standards and constructing them and designing them properly. And so we take on liability going forward based on our ownership of that road and how we improved it, how we designed it, those sorts of things. So it's not that past ownership would tack on to us because we weren't the ones that built that road and designed that road because it was not in fact ours. So we, like you'll probably notice with a lot of our tort claims, we get named on tort claims a lot for US 36, even though we don't have ownership for that. So that's usually how we kind of get out of those, just because if we don't own it, we don't design it, we don't construct improvement on it, that usually falls to NDOT in that case. So that's kind of a comparison for you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question? He mentioned the 100 South project and the relinquishment of roads. So this was another issue that has happened in the last few months with the sheriff's department and our department. Sheriff's Department administrative personnel went to the county highway department to find out what roads the county was responsible for. What they did is then they mixed apples and oranges, because the county answered the question and said 100 South from 267 all the way to a little past Ronald Reagan Parkway is Avon town responsibility. That is correct, for the maintenance of the roadway. Sheriff's Department put that out to mean that meant any crash that occurred in the unincorporated part of the town of Avon was the town of Avon's responsibility and Avon Police Department officer's responsibility, which is not correct. Because that's all based on taxes. And police runs go off of taxes and jurisdiction. So we had a dispute, that was figured out and settled, and I explained to them the reason that sometimes that happens with the roadways, the best way I can get them to understand is it doesn't make financial or really logical sense for a plow truck to have its plow down on the road and plow all the way to a certain point and then pick it up and go a little ways and then put it back down and keep plowing. So we kind of sometimes towns and counties trade certain parts of roadways for others just for maintenance purposes, not for police roads. Is this going to cause an issue with this new road being in county jurisdiction, even though the town built it? For them to now come back and say, anything that happens in this area is now Avon Police Department responsibility? Because they will do that.
So Anna, in our agreement for the relinquishment, can we draft it and then you can make it clear that it's for road maintenance only and not for
Other services.
emergency response? Yeah.
You could potentially do that, but generally when it comes to police powers, it's different than maintaining a road. There are certain roads like you're discussing that we maintain, but if they're not a part of the town, we're not collecting tax dollars, that's kind of what lines up with our police jurisdiction, our police powers. We don't just automatically get police powers over territory because we're maintaining that area. So I don't believe that this would cause an issue with that regard. But we can address that further if we need to in the relinquishment.
Yeah, maybe just for clarification.
Yeah, it's not really a contract to relinquish, they're just relinquishing it, but we can address that to make sure that issue doesn't continue to occur.
Any other comments, topics? If not, we'll take a break.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
Present.
Bill Holland,
Present.
Greg Zuzen,
Present.
Don Loudon,
Present.
Jason Puckett.
Present.
First on the agenda tonight, we have a swearing in of our new police officers. Sean?
Thank you. Tonight, we're going to be swearing in two new police officers. I'm going to kind of go over a couple of their bios, but before I do, I just want to thank everybody for being here this evening. This is a pretty special moment in any officer's career. This is that first step that they take when they launch that career and embark upon what's going to be a challenging career and a challenging time for them and their family, but at the same time, it's also very rewarding. The first officer I would like to speak about today is Officer Robert Sumner. He goes by Bob. Officer Bob Sumner resides in Hendricks County with his wife and two daughters. He previously served 8 years as a patrol officer with the Plainfield Police Department and also served as a general instructor, accident reconstructionist, and a Glock armorer. While serving at the Plainfield Police Department, Officer Sumner received the Plainfield Medal of Valor, 2 Plainfield Police Department life-saving medals, the Plainfield Police Department Silver Star, and 2 Plainfield Police Department Certificates of Commendation, and 1 Plainfield Police Department Certificate of Appreciation. He's a graduate of Fountain Central High School. I had to look that up to see where that is, because I've never heard of it, but it's way over on the east side of the state. East? I don't think so. I looked at a different map then. The Indiana map, Bill. What's that? Okay. All right. You're right, Bill.
You're off to a bad start.
All right. Well, this is great. This is live stream too, so that's the best part. It's actually, yeah, anyway. A graduate of Fountain Central High School. He aspires to become a department instructor. He wants to be in supervision someday and possibly in investigations. Usually when they apply for our department, they also fill out a pretty lengthy application. And part of that application is they have to do like a writing exercise where they talk about why they want to be an Avon police officer. There's always at least a couple interesting things in there when people write why they want to be a police officer. So I always try to find something that captures kind of who they are, at least in the short time that we've got to know them. So Bob said, I feel serving and protecting those who need help and or can't protect themselves is what the good Lord put me on this earth to do. Short, one sentence, couldn't have said it better. So thank you, Bob, for applying with our department, and welcome aboard. The second officer I'd like to speak about is Officer Matt Wilson. Matt resides with his wife here in Hendricks County. He's a graduate of the St. Thomas More Catholic School from Lafayette, Louisiana. That's in Louisiana. Is that correct, Bob, Bill? And he studied at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. He graduated from the post-level 3 correctional officers course in Harvey, Louisiana. He also served as a veteran of the U.S. Army. He graduated from the 101st Airborne Division Sobolewski Air Assault School. He received the U.S. Army's Good Conduct Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, and his Air Assault Badge. He received his honorable discharge in June of 2020. We thank you for your service, Matt, to our country and now to our community. He's a graduate of the Slidell Police Academy from Slidell, Louisiana, as well as a SWAT school in St. John's Parish Sheriff's Office. Matt served on the Hammond Police Department in Hammond, Louisiana since June of 2021, before moving back to Avon with his wife and family recently. He served on the department SWAT team, the Hammond Street Crimes Unit, and the Patrol Division. An interesting thing in his file is the chief from his former department actually wrote his reference letter. Chief Edwin Bergeron Jr. of the Hammond Police Department personally wrote Matt's letter of reference to our agency. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Matt is expected to receive an ILEA waiver for his previous training, so he's not going to have to attend the academy. He's getting ready to start his field training here pretty soon, and we hope to get him out on the road pretty soon. His quote's a little bit longer. I found that after getting to know these guys a little bit, once he starts talking, he talks a little bit longer. So I think he writes a little bit longer. 3 things that I strive for every day on the job as an officer is officer safety, preservation of life, and teamwork. I firmly believe these 3 things are the most important goals to abide by in order to ensure everyone goes home safe to their families at night and that the community stays safely served. Very well said. To administer our oath this evening, have the Honorable Superior Court 5 Judge Stephanie LeMay Lucan. I'm going to turn that over to Judge Lucan at this time.
Judge LeMay, you're making a lot of mistakes today. So, good evening. So, Officer Sumner, come on up. You guys are lucky. This department is lucky. This town is lucky. You're getting a lot of experience. So, we're going to face this way. So, everybody can take their pictures. Okay, so, Officer, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Robert Sumner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will defend the Constitution
that I will defend the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Indiana,
and of the state of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
perform my duties,
perform my duties
yeah, more than one, as a law enforcement officer
as a law enforcement officer
of the Avon Police
of
Department
the Avon Police Department,
impartially,
impartially,
fairly,
fairly,
and to the best of my
and to the best of my
ability.
ability.
I affirm
I affirm
that I will enforce all ordinances
that I will enforce all ordinances
and laws
and laws
and follow all legal directives
and follow all legal directives
and policies
and policies
prescribed by the Avon Police Department.
prescribed by the Avon Police Department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where's your next fancy one? Okay, come on up, Louisiana. Officer Wilson. You can come up, take pictures. Come on. Don't be shy. Hello, how tall are you?
6'8".
6'8". Do you play ball? Basketball?
No.
They don't do that in Louisiana?
I did in high school.
You did? Okay. Mine has 6'4". I'm going to tell them I met somebody taller than him. Okay. So, raise your right hand. I state your name.
Matt Wilson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will defend the Constitution
that I will defend the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of
and
America
of the state of Indiana,
and the state of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
perform my duties
perform my duties
as a law enforcement officer
as a law enforcement officer
of the Avon Police Department
of the Avon Police Department
impartially,
impartially,
fairly,
fairly,
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
I affirm
I affirm
that I will enforce all ordinances
that I will enforce all ordinances
and laws and follow all legal directives
and follow all legal directives
and policies
and policies
prescribed by the Avon Police Department.
prescribed by the Avon Police Department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Good luck to all of you. Stay safe out there. Bye, Bill Holland.
Sean,
Would you like to pause for some
Yeah.
photographs?
I think we'll go ahead and pause for some photographs and we'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and call the council meeting back to order and move on with the next item, the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the check register for March 12th, 2026, approval of the minutes for February 26th, 2026, as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Don Loudon.
4. Next is a public comment opportunity. The public may speak on an agenda that is not part of a public hearing or a specific matter within the council's jurisdiction. If you would like to speak, please come forward to the podium. Make sure the green light is on the microphone and state your name and address.
My name is Billy Lomax. I'm at 8849 Balmoral Lane in Avon. It's on the other side of the tracks, Lexington Woods. And I just have a statement I'd like to read. I appreciate the growth Avon is experiencing. The new warehouses and development are good for the town, but with that growth, we need a plan to keep our public spaces nice. I regularly bike along 100 South, along the surrounding paths. Recently, I've seen a growing number of trash and bio waste along the sidewalks and trails. Things like urine bottles, diapers, and other litter. At that point, it becomes more than an appearance issue. It becomes a sanitation problem. When I reached out previously, the suggestion was that I pick up the trash myself. While community volunteering is great, it's not a sustainable solution for the growing town. What I'm asking the council to consider is establishing a simple littering management program. For example, first, regular cleanup through partnerships with police, probation, or community service programs so people working off fines and probation can help maintain these areas. Second, we need a strong enforcement and prevention. Clear expectations for businesses near these corridors, meaningful fines for littering, and a visible anti-littering campaign that encourages people to report violations. We're all investing in sidewalks and bike paths, which is great. Now we need a plan to maintain them so residents can enjoy them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else coming forward. Thank you for your comments. We'll move on with department updates.
Steve Moore, Public Works Director. The CCMG project for 2026 is getting ready to go. So we'll have, looks like 14 roads that will be paving. In addition to that, we'll have some skip patching projects going on. The Dan Jones Phase 3 project is going well with the utility relocations. Looking for the contractor to start construction in April. The Raceway Roundabout project is also going really well with utility relocation. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, that'll wrap up in time for the contractor to start on March 23rd. So Monday, March 23rd will be the closure of Raceway and 100 North. And that should last till the end of July. That's pretty much it. I have the standard signs, other things, but I think we can skip that for tonight. Anything else? Any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Linda Albrand, Planning Director. Quickly touch on cases. The BZA approved the Chick-fil-A on the east end for their setback for their canopy, and then they approved the joint site on Avon Avenue for the new utility building that's going in there. We will not be having a BZA meeting this month due to lack of business. The Plan Commission heard and approved the Mo Bettis site, the former Swenson site, the Avon retail shops, which is the north side of 36 east of Reagan, Park Place Crossing commercial building, which is the vacant Park Place lots when you first enter that development, and then recommended approval of the Gatherings rezoning, which you'll hear later tonight. They had a full public hearing on Walmart, Avon Avenue South, and then they denied the waiver to have an access on directly onto Avon Avenue. At that point, the petitioner requested a waiver or a continuance to the March 23rd hearing, which was granted. And the petitioner is working on some redesign for that site. And we've seen some preliminary renderings of what they're proposing next, but we don't have a full submission yet. And then we just got in for our cutoff for April, 4 new cases, Avon Landing Building 3, which will be east of Sephora at Reagan. The joint site again for its development plan review, a new gymnastics facility on Kingston, and a new preliminary plat called City View. And then Paul and I did attend the INDOT public hearing along with the council president for the US 36 widening project and gave our comments to them, which they are now preparing responses to. We also had a meeting today with INDOT regarding the new project and are having some open discussions with them on their plans. So we're going to keep up with that. We have another meeting scheduled. So any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks, Linda.
Sean Stoops, Chief of Police and Indiana geography expert. Officer Devin Bussey is progressing well through his field training. He graduated from the academy in January. He's expected to be released on time, and that should happen here in just a few weeks. New officers, Officer Sumner and Wilson, he just met. They've been onboarded. They've already begun their initial training. Officer Sumner is already in field training. And Officer Wilson is completing his pre-basic training, and he'll be starting field training pretty soon as well. The Avon PD Merit Board met on Monday and approved another candidate to fill one of our vacancies. They tendered a conditional offer of employment. Once he is approved by PERF, we should be able to begin bringing him on board within, we hope within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We want to congratulate Officer Kevin Kasperzik on being selected for the Joint Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as SWAT. We've talked about that before. That's a pretty demanding and challenging process to be selected. Several of our officers went through that process, and he was selected to fill that vacancy on that position. So that's a pretty prestigious accomplishment for Officer Kasperzik. I want to congratulate him for that.
Is that Hendricks County SWAT team?
It's not Hendricks County. It's Brownsburg, Avon, and then I think Pittsboro's on there as well. So it is a joint team, but they just kind of focus on that area. So you should have some stats and other information there in your packet that you would receive. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is the officer who was offered conditional employment a lateral officer?
Not exactly. He is with another agency, but he's just started training and he's not attended the academy.
Okay,
So he's going to have to go to the academy and do field training. So
great.
How many openings does that leave us then for
I believe that's going to be 2.
2 and then hiring 2? So we still got 4 openings?
Yes. 3.
Have you exhausted your last list?
No, so this list is actually really good. We've had a lot of exceptional candidates. We've had some candidates that we tendered offers to, and that we either didn't get them before another agency did, or they decided to stay with their current agency. So it's been really good. I think there was a list of 29 when we started, and I think we're currently on number 10. So we're hoping that without any more issues, we should be able to fill the rest of those vacancies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Shelby Pride, Parks and Recreation Director. I know last time I updated you that I had a couple people going to some trainings. I'm proud to say that one of our trainees passed the Certified Playground Safety Inspector course put on through the National Park and Rec Association. They took that last week and got their results back at noon today. So I want to congratulate him and both of them for going and doing the work. It's really important for us to have that on staff. Also this week, we received our 19-year designation for the Tree City USA. We attended the picnic for the parks put on by the Park Foundation. We were able to have a booth set up there. We took our renderings for our park projects and it was pretty popular. There were 450 people there. They had a goal of raising $20,000 that day. They ended up raising $60,000. And the Park Foundation of Hendricks County Leadership Award went to Jeff Banning. So congratulations to him. And now forevermore, that leadership award will be called the Jeff Banning Leadership Award. We have Tiffany applied for a few grants. I want to highlight those. Duke Energy, we got a $5,000 grant for our trail safety project. They would like to do a check presentation at a future meeting, so that might be on your agenda here in the near future. Thank you, Duke Energy. We received the Hendricks County Community Grant for our World War II Memorial Park. That does maintenance, upkeep, and enhancements. Typically, it covers the cost of flags and cleaning. We have $1,299 for that. So thank you, community, for that. And then we also yesterday received word that Visit Indy on behalf of the Greater Indy Trailways. They're doing a mixer later in April for National Trail Day. We created an event on that day and we applied for a small micro grant and they gave us $750 to put on that event. So, that's all.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Julie, do you have
I
anything?
think that just leaves me. This week, I attended the ILMCT, it's Indiana League of Municipal Clerk Treasurers Conference, Sunday to Thursday today. Is when we ended it. We had a lot of great speakers. I came back with a lot of ideas I need to talk to the town manager about. It's a great way to get to know and meet 300 other clerk treasurers and their deputies from around the state. I want to thank Mark Tedesco and Plainfield for hosting this. We did it at the Embassy Suites Conference, the old Primo building. But there was one night where he took us on a tour of Hendricks Live. And it's just a great facility. And I'm looking forward to having our own community center where we can start hosting events as well. But I did attend that this week. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the future.
Thank you. Next is council comment and liaison reports. Bill, we'll start on your end today.
I have nothing.
Great.
I have nothing.
Robert?
Anybody wanting some really fly, loud pants, go to avonindiana.gov. No, avonindiana.gov/sports will get you there. I can't remember what the original URL. Fundraiser for some awesome pants. That's all I got. Thanks.
I attended the soft opening for El Emporium and would like to welcome them to the community. It was very well attended. I saw some of our staff there before I left, so welcome to Avon. Moving on to our new business. The first is awarding the bid for park improvements.
Good evening again. Tonight I come before you to award the lowest bids for a couple of park projects that we opened in our public bid opening last week. I'm requesting that the town council award the lowest bid for Burnett Parks and Winton Meadows Parks to Matcon Contracting. I believe you guys have all the documentation in front of you to see that they were the lowest bid on that. I've also included the ad alternates that we decided to use or not use. And then the picture of the building is not a part of that. That is the actual building going up. I just added that for you guys to see. So the recommendation, we would like to accept MatCon's base price of $3,185,000. And then we would like to approve ad alternate number 3 at $89,500 and ad alternate 4 at $111,000. They have deduct alternates for $25,000 and with a total of $3,360,500.
How much did you say?
$3,360,500.
See, that's not what I
Yeah,
have.
that's not what we're seeing.
What are you seeing?
3,520,500.
And it's showing that they deducted alternative or alternate 1 and alternate 2.
Yeah.
But they're only showing 75,000 deducted for alternate 1,
Oh,
which
you're
was
s-
81,000, and 25,000 for alternate 2, which was showing us 54,000.
So what's your final number?
3,520,500. So in other words, when
So,
they did,
yeah, you're seeing the total of all 4, if we accepted all,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Look under E, recommendations, shows the correct
oh, gotcha.
price.
Okay.
I guess the other thing, just to remind you guys, you're just awarding the bids. You don't have to do a dollar amount. So you're just approving the bids. Shelby's trying to explain to you what her recommendation is, even though the bid is for some other things. So we're not necessarily doing everything. But again, when you guys make your motion, we would just ask for you to accept the low bid, which is MatCon contracting, no dollar amount.
And we don't have to ask for authorization for Julie to disperse those funds either. Okay. Do we know anything about MatCon? Have we used them for any projects before?
Not for any park projects. I don't know, townwide.
Yeah, we haven't. We did do some discussions. Rigdon, is going to be our CMA, and Context were both familiar with them and said that they had worked with them in the past and that they were a good contractor. So the town hasn't worked with them before, so it'll be our first time.
I would like to just put on the record that Councilman Zuzan has left because of a conflict of interest during this portion of the meeting, so.
Are you wanting both of these together? They're
Do you
both
want it-
going to
If you,
MatCon,
no,
right?
they're not. The
Make it
pickleball is a
Oh,
different
forgive me.
contractor.
Yep, forgive
If you
me.
would like
So-
to do it all in one, we certainly
Nope.
can. I can,
I thought they were the same.
sorry.
Nope. That's
Yeah,
my
this
bad.
is just for Burnett Park and the Winton Meadows Park project.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid for Burnett Park and Winton Meadows to MatCon Contracting as presented.
Second.
Just, I guess for the record, we do have these funds available through our park bond that we approved earlier
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
And our financial person, Greg Garatas, has, Brian, shown that we have the sustainability in our budget to make those bond payments.
Yeah, that's, Shelby gave you guys our sources and uses.
Mhm.
You will notice we are slightly over total for both projects. So there's a couple solutions we can do with that. One, we had already had some conversations with the contractor. They had some things. Once you guys approve it, we can work with the contractor to reduce prices. That's one option. Option 2, we could do an additional appropriation if necessary. Shelby has underspent her food and beverage budget the last 2 years, so her fund balance has been growing. So we could do an additional appropriation. We did have some money in our budget, but Shelby could choose to do not do other projects to have money as well, and
That was it. You tied the last two together.
tag the two together. So we are comfortable with you awarding it. Again, I think what we will do is we will keep you informed as we move forward. Before we can get into those discussions and figure out all the logistics of the dollars, we have to get it awarded. So that's why we're asking you to award it tonight. We will keep you guys updated, and we will make sure that we are capable of covering the costs. Again, we're about $400,000 over for everything Shelby's recommending.
What do you have in your food and beverage?
The fund balance total? 3,000,008, oh, is that right? Yeah, $3,853,980. We do have, oh, I'm sorry, that was the bond. That's just for the bond. In the fund for food and beverage, we have $3,298. And then we also have recreation impact fees, and that balance is $1,020,290.
I think we're good.
We also have tree mitigation money to do some of the tree mitigation at $150,000 in the fund.
We had a first and a second, so Julie, roll call, please.
Don Loudon,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Bill Holland, Robert Pope,
4.
Awarding pickleball.
Yep. The pickleball park, we bid as a separate project. It's a little bit different than just passive park stuff. So we would like to award the lowest bid to McDougall Pierce as presented. Their bid was the lowest. And you also have the same documentation. It's a little confusing. I apologize for that. We kind of lumped everything together in one document and we didn't break it up for you guys. But as presented, the $1,185,825 to McDougall Pierce.
That 400,000, that we were over, is that for both projects
Yeah,
together?
so that is that, and then after pickleball, I would like to award a contract, and that is also included in that 400,000 left over.
So it really wasn't the project itself, it's the construction maintenance that you added to it that we didn't have when we did all this evaluation.
Sorry, we asked that question.
Yeah.
I didn't follow you.
Well, I mean, when you went through all these bids and stuff, we never had the construction management component. So now you're adding it to it, so now we don't have enough money. Well, 250 of the 401 shortfall is the construction management side of it. So-
About half of that.
So next time I think we do this, we should add that in there as a contingency or something of that type.
Yeah, I mean, our goal was to get as many of the parks improvements as we could. So a portion of the alternates were, we knew that our estimate would be over, but we wanted to take advantage of, if we could get good bids, that we could do more of the work. So what we actually ended up doing is, we're going to be able to do more work because we actually got really good bids. Both of the bids were below the engineer's estimate. That's why there's all these alternates, because we were like, if we could do more work because our bids are low, now we could pull those alternates out, like Greg said, and we could get down to a lower number. But again, our goal is to it's never going to be cheaper than it is today to do these projects. For us to have someone come back later, even if the alternate's 81,000, to come back in 4 years and try to do that, it's going to cost 130,000. It's not going to be 81 anymore. So we structured the bid in a way to try to get as much work done as we could possibly get done. And so that's why some of it is there. It wasn't necessarily because we didn't account for the CMA. It was because we were trying to get as much of the work done as possible. And again, that's still our goal. And that's why we're still asking you to award the bids. Let us try to work through it and see if we could do all of it. We'd love to do all of it. The reality is we probably can't because we're over. But again, we'll work through those dollar amounts. And again, we'll report back to you. We'll keep you guys in the loop and share with you where we're at on the budget and the overall cost. So.
Well, in our conversation, two things. I think we should do the alternates for one and find the money. Well, then part of the reason is because we don't have it budgeted for this year, but we would have it for next year. So I said, let your contractor know there may be a delay until next year to paying you your $81,000 or whatever, and just get it done.
Yeah, pay it out of next year's budget. That's an option as well. That's a fifth option that Greg's right. If we know, and some of this won't all happen, most of the buildings and the main stuff, but some of the landscaping, the trees, if we fall out of season and we can't plant that stuff, that's not going to happen until 2027. So again, some of those things we could pay for out of we could budget for them in next year's budget and actually pay for it out of the next year's budget. So again, that's what, I'm asking you guys for some flexibility. I know that requires you guys to have some trust in Shelby and I to make sure that we don't spend $400,000 more than we can. But again, that's, if we do that, if there's an additional appropriation or we have to do something, we have to come back to you guys to get that approval anyway, so.
So with these alternatives that you're putting in here, though, should our motions, if we were to make a motion to approve, should it not say not to exceed at this point? I mean, because you've already added in the alternates that you want.
We can't do not to exceed. When we have public bidding, there's only two options. We either accept the bid or you reject all bids. So we don't have flexibility to say we're accepting up to a certain amount. For public bidding, we've asked for them to make the bids. They've made the bids. We either accept them or we reject them all. And when you accept the lowest, most responsible and responsive bidder.
Well, I don't
I don't
think,
know if you were in here or not, because I wasn't paying that much attention to where you were going, but you've already identified places where we could do all of this. My preference is to do it, get it done. We've waited a long time for some of this stuff. It's about time that we show some type of product for the community. So I think she's identified where the funds can come from this year if it's necessary for this year.
well, that's what I was just going to say. When you look at your funds report, you've got 4 of them highlighted. One of them, we're going to use all of it up, but we have park impact fees, you got excess funds, you've got food and beverage, you have excess. So it's not a matter, we don't have the money. It's just a matter that the way we bid on it, now we've have an overrun. So
I'll second what Bill said. You know, I've been here 7 years saying, when are we going to do something? When are we going to get something done in our parks as opposed to just vacant land sitting there? So I'm excited to see these things come through, and I'll be excited to see them to fruition. But at the same time, we just got hit with a fiscal change as far as municipality funding. And so that's why I want to make sure that we're solid.
Yeah.
I would maybe add that just even quick point on, just as an educational thing for anybody watching the meeting. Paying for these parks improvements, none of them are anybody's property taxes. They're all food and beverage tax. They are recreation impact fees, meaning new development is paying for them. The tree mitigation fund is when a development comes and they cut down trees, they have to pay us money. So that money is also from developers. So the taxpayers, actually, unless you eat at a restaurant, no property tax is going towards these projects. It's fully funded outside of property tax in the general fund. So this isn't something we can use for a police department or hiring police officers. This money is all earmarked to go towards parks.
If no other comments or questions, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we award the low bid for pickleball courts to McDougal Pierce as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Julie. Roll call, please.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Next is your professional service fee.
I would like to ask you to award the professional services agreement to Rigdon Construction, just to walk with us as an owner's consultant through these projects. Pickleball, Burnett, and Winton Meadows Park, they've agreed to total fees not more than $250,000. Could be less than that, but not to exceed that. So that is, we did budget the maximum for that, and there could be some cost savings there as well.
my only question, and I don't know if you have the answer, is how do they bid this out? How do they come up with that number?
Well,
So great question, Greg. So I will say that one, I want to thank Rigdon Construction because actually their proposed fee was substantially higher than this. But
Yep.
Shelby and I went to them and said, hey, our whole goal of this is, which exactly what you guys all just reiterated was, hey, we want to spend as much of this money towards parks improvements as possible. So they actually reduced their rate. But normally what we do is we do a man hour justification. So they take how long the contract should take and who's assigned to the project. Same way we do for a construction manager for road projects. It is a hourly contract, so it'll be set up as an hourly contract. So that's what you'll see, Greg, in there. There's hourly rates. So those hourly rates, they did that multiplied by the period of time that it could take. Now, we don't really know. We're going to be somewhere between 7 and 10 months of construction. And so, again, on the low end, they could be less than 250, but we put the cap on there that it would not to exceed 250. And again, thank you to Rigdon Construction. They came down a substantial amount from what they actually originally proposed. And so they've had a long-term working relationship with us. So again, I think they're doing it for a very reasonable cost, but ultimately it's based on that hourly rate, Greg, just like we do on construction inspection. And it could end up being less. So again, when we talk about being over 400,000, we may not really be over 400,000 because we'll see how this hourly rate charges out and whether it really adds up to 250. We put the worst case scenario in the budget for you guys to see that and understand that, but it may not actually be 250.
So 7 to 10 months. Are we starting on both projects at the same time or?
Yes, we would like to. It would depend on the contractor and how they're doing right now. My goal is to, if all is approved tonight, let them know of the bid awards tomorrow and start working on contracts. And then we can start to get down to the nitty gritty on timelines, groundbreaking, all of the things. But there was a timeline in both of the bid packages for 7 to 10 months.
And especially over at Burnett, we have a lot of equipment parked there. So how do we start on our park improvement?
They have been asked to leave that premises by April 1st.
So we do anticipate something starting to move
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Aren't we using that area though to store excess material such as dirt that we could use on other locations? And if that's the case, where are we going to move that?
It was for that location. The dirt is from the Dan Jones widening project. Steve was actually gracious enough to say, hey, I've got an idea. We have all of this dirt and nowhere to put it. I see in your plans that you've got these hills projected to be out there. And so it was minimal cost, if anything, trucking, for us to have those out there. So we don't have to haul anything in and we don't have to haul anything out for those hills.
Thank you. Anna, you mentioned for a public bid, we don't need to put in a stay under this amount, not to exceed amount. If I remember, professional services don't need to go through that process. Do we need to put a not to exceed $250,000 on this?
Yes, I would, because that's the agreement for professional services. You get to choose who you want to work with, and there's no real statutory process. So
Roger
yes.
that. Thank you.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we award the professional services agreement for Rigdon Construction as presented, not to exceed $250,000.
Second.
Thank you, Julie. Roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope.
Or
Thank you, guys. I'm done now.
Thank you. That's a lot, Shelby. Awarding quotes for roadside mowing.
Steve Moore, Public Works Director. We received 2 bids for, actually they were quotes, for roadside mowing. The low quoter was Wild Ridge Lawn. And we got references from the town of, or city, I'm stuck in the old days, city of Fishers. They use them and they're happy with their work. So I recommend that you award the roadside mowing project to Wild Ridge Lawn and Landscape.
I have a quick question. I thought I saw where they included in their bid that they would pick up debris.
Yeah, that's what we do every year. We do a couple of things. We, along with the mowing, they have to clean up before they mow. And in addition to that, like the last year's roadside mowing guy, he did a cleanup in January for us. And apparently in between January and now, been some collection of things that need to be picked up, and these guys will pick it up before they start.
This will include 100 South, right?
Yes, yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Yep. And we've already started cleaning up on the roundabouts, actually.
I know I bring this up every year, but I feel like it's a safety thing. So when they mow, especially since they're not mowing our parks and things like that, they're mowing out there on the roadways, the public roads. If they could not throw their grass into the streets, which makes it really difficult for motorcyclists.
Keaton rode with each of the people that were quoting, and he drove them with the idea of this is how we do things. And so he's gone over that with them. Of course, if you get one guy that doesn't, tell the other 14 guys how to do it, they'll learn real quick that we don't like it if they do it the wrong way.
Only comment I have is that this is a one-year contract. However, it could be extended up to 3 years.
Right.
So last year's contract winners, do we want to extend theirs for another 3 years?
No, thank you.
All right, that's why we're bidding it out.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Make a motion that we approve the roadside, 2026 roadside mowing for Wild Ridge Lawn and Landscaping in an amount not to exceed $106,925.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
Or
Don Loudon,
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Next is roundabout maintenance.
So just like the roadside mowing, we separate it out into 2 different contracts. We find that it's good to have 2 different contractors or 2 opportunities to have 2 different contractors to do the work. This one, All Terrain was the low bidder, and we've had them before. We really liked them, and we use them for a lot of things. And so we're happy to recommend that you accept the quote of All Terrain Landscape as presented.
If I may add one thing, just to clarify, someone may ask, why do you have roadside mowing and why do you have roundabout maintenance? And we do 2 different things. So the roadside mowing, we mow once a month. So those are typically areas that are uncurbed. And so once a month, roadside mowing happens. Anywhere area, roundabouts, 100 South, 200 North, certain segments of Ronald Reagan Parkway, those get mowed more frequently because they're curbed and they're landscaped, and we've done improvements to those areas. Those things are in the roundabout maintenance contract, and those are mowed once a week for 24 weeks. And so the type of mowing is different in each of those locations, and the timeframes in which we mow are different. So we do require all of them to pick up trash and to clean up those areas. Those are part of their contracts. Again, to the question earlier, sometimes in the winter, we do a winter trash pickup, but it tends to be when we're not frequently mowing, it tends to get worse because there's nobody out there on a weekly basis or a monthly basis cleaning up. So we tend to have this issue in the winter. And so again, both of these contracts address that, but I wanted to at least clarify a little bit why 2 different contracts. And what we find is somebody who's good at one may not be good at the other. And so that's why we kind of separate out those 2 different scopes.
And the roundabout mowing has to have more attention to detail. People see those and critique those more.
The contract, or pardon me, this memo references soon to be 17 roundabouts. I assume that's referencing 100 North and Raceway, but are they aware and are okay that they're going to be mowing an additional one later this year?
Well, yeah, again, Keaton drove it with all of them and showed them that location that will come online. Because that was roadside mowing before, right? Now it's going to be roundabout mowing.
And I assume is included in
Yeah.
this price.
Yeah.
And the new one at Costco.
Yeah. Yep.
Same, I would ask that, the same thing. that we make sure that, especially because I notice it a lot on Ronald Reagan, where they just throw it out there.
Yeah, so again, this is the contractor that we didn't have last year, but 3 years prior, we had this contractor, and I don't think you've had any complaints about the roundabout mowing in those 3 years.
I don't remember that part.
Last year you had some complaints, but the 3 years prior, you did not.
Oh, thank you for keeping track of that for me.
I make a motion that we approve the 2026 roundabout mowing contract to all-terrain landscape and snow management in an amount not to exceed $100,252.24.
Second.
Thank you, Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Craig Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
That it?
Awarding
Oh.
quote for the ADA sidewalk replacements and new connections.
All right, so yeah, this is one more. This is a contract to redo a bunch of sidewalks and some, actually some trail connection. It's a sidewalk connection, but it acts as a trail. So we have also some development with a new subdivision coming online over by, oh shoot, off of 900, what's it called?
Landing.
No, it's, doesn't matter. It's a subdivision on 900. What'd you say? It was? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she knows. So she got my back this time. But anyway, Silver Springs. So we're connecting to an existing neighborhood, and they're along the Autumn Faith Way is the road. Along there, there's a lot of needs for sidewalk improvements in that neighborhood overall. There's need for sidewalk improvements. So we've made a fairly large project of repairing sidewalks, doing some connectivity with sidewalks, and this is the project. So we got several quotes, and two quotes we got. We asked several people. Concrete Evolutions is a known contractor, good concrete contractor. He hasn't done work for me personally, but I know of others that have, and they seem to be doing well. And I recommend that you award the quote to Concrete Evolutions as presented.
There's a pretty drastic difference between these two bids.
Yeah.
I understand some history of Holschnick and why that might be. Why are they so far apart?
So again, it's a function of, hey, how busy am I? How much work do I have? You know, if I have a lot of work, I'm going to bid
Let me ask
higher.
the more important question. Do you feel that this is inaccurately
No,
quoting
no,
what
no.
we need
And
done?
the other thing with Holsnick is, in this case, he uses another contractor to do most of the work for him. So we call it stepping on it. He's going to step on that guy's price, right?
Sure.
So it's a function of a lot of things, but no, I feel comfortable with this price because this price came in just a little higher than what my estimate was. The low price was higher than my estimate.
These ADA sidewalks, are they still part of the federal requirement that we needed to update some of our sidewalks or not? Or are these just?
No, yeah, so there's several ramps included in here that need to be updated. Some are damaged, trucks run over them and crack them, or some of them are outdated. They met the old standard, but they don't meet the new standard. Yeah. So there's updating involved, yes. Whenever we touch the concrete next to a ramp, we have to update the ramp.
So do you have a timeline when we might have all of the ADAs updated to the federal standards?
All of them in town after I'm dead.
Well, I mean, we only do 50,000 a year.
Well, we do more than that. So where we do our CCMG projects, wherever our asphalt touches an existing road with an existing ramp, we update those ramps. So that's included in the CCMG. So that's a different budget, right? So we probably do, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000 of CCMG ramps, a year or two. So we do quite a bit of ramps. I mean, but it's still, to do them all, boy, we got a lot of miles of sidewalks and ramps. So yeah, I don't know. Plus I could die tomorrow and then I would be right.
I assumed with your attention to detail, you would have had some timeline, even if that was out to 2200.
Well, we keep on annexing, the more old neighborhoods that we annex, the more old ones that need to be replaced that, I mean, I can guess.
Their timeline would be post Bill Holland.
Yes, it's good.
You want me to keep dancing? Is that what you would?
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we award the 2026 sidewalk and drainage project to Concrete Evolutions as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Don Loudon,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Next is iWorks Agreement Amendment.
We currently use iWorks as our building permit and our right-of-way permit system as part of our effort to go paperless, which I know you guys are aware that we're doing. Linda had a conversation with them about how to transition our planning program to be paperless as well. So how people could submit online, attach the drawings and all that stuff, so we can also kind of streamline that operation. It also becomes a case management system for Linda and Paul as well to be able to manage planning cases. And so that's an additional module in addition to what we're already doing. So I know you have a contract in front of you for $14,000, but our current contract is for $10,000 for what we're already doing. So we're really just increasing $4,000. I can't approve contracts. All contracts have to come back to you guys. So even though it's 14,000, it's more than what was happening before. So that's why it has to go on your agenda. We did budget in the planning and building department budget $17,000 for this software. So the 14,000 is still below what we were intended. So it is our recommendation to approve the contract as presented. And if you have any questions, Linda's happy to answer them for you.
I think it's great because then you don't have to get the paper and then scan it all in and do all of that. It takes that step out of there, so. I think it's worth $4,000 on one project, probably. Any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the iWork agreement as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Next is the Make My Move proposal.
Yes. As you guys are aware, we did have a conversation earlier this year about Make My Move. Make My Move has continued to work with us. We still had several jobs when we presented this to the council previously. We have had some good success. We've gotten a couple more of those jobs filled. I think we got our 6th, our 7th. We just approved an 8th that hasn't officially signed, but is close to signing. So we're starting to kind of fill that up. The other piece is that the IEDC, the governor, the new governor has kind of gotten involved in this, and he's kind of changed the program a little bit. And the state has become a strong supporter, even a stronger supporter than they were before of this program. And so they modified a little bit how it works, which is actually to our benefit. The way it was kind of working before, we were paying the upfront costs, and then we would go try to get reimbursed by the IEDC. It's changed now. The IEDC has a contract with Make My Move. The town also has a contract with Make My Move, and the IEDC will actually pay Make My Move directly. So I know before it made it look like we had a lot of money going out, but then we were getting reimbursed. That kind of cleans it up. I know you guys were kind of always confused and you're like, this doesn't look right. And so again, I think the state has done a good job of changing the way this all functions and works. We also recognize that maybe 10 jobs for our initial attempt to get people was probably a little too ambitious. And so we've backed that off as well and said our goal for the next year would be 5 new jobs. So Make My Move would still help us get the remaining 3 people. And then our goal would be in the next year to get 5 more in addition to that original 3. And again, you have the proposal in front of you. Ryan is here as well. If you have any questions for Make My Move, the cost ends up being, our total cost ends up being $25,500 for the 5 jobs. That does assume that we would get a reimbursement back from the IDC of $29,000. So I think it is right around like 55,000 is our total cost, but again, we would get reimbursed a little under $30,000. So it is our recommendation that you approve this, and Ryan and I are happy to answer any questions.
Do we know what the salaries were generated of these 8 individuals?
Ryan, it's in your proposal, is it correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I have it right here. Good evening, council members. So our most recent household income was 300,000. And then the one before that was 60,996, 50,000, 140,000, 70,000, 65,000, and then our first was 57,000. And so out of the 7 new households, that's brought 18 new people to the community. I think the most impressive was the last one, Michael Maston, 4 adults, 3 children in the household, so that was a total of 7 people.
Do all these people reside in Avon then?
Yes, that's one of the requirements is they have to live in the town. And they have to bring their jobs with them, and so they're bringing the job as well.
Do we know if any of these have purchased a home or they're just renters?
Michael Maston purchased a home. Suzanne, we had one other one that I think 2 have purchased a home. The rest, I think, were renters. Oh, yeah, one is renting a home.
So is it safe to say the program is doing what it's designed to do? It's just not generating as many applicants or respondents as we thought it would?
Yes, and again, a little step back to this, and we talk about this a lot as economic development. And in Indiana, the property tax system is changing, and it's going to switch to income taxes becoming more important. So again, having some diversity in our economic development plan to try to attract people. For example, you guys just approved a tax abatement for Heister Yale, and those are a lot of jobs, but that also cost us like $3.5 million for 350 jobs. That was the tax abatement. This amount for similarly type jobs is still at a much lesser of a cost. So again, we're trying to diversify. We're not trying to put all our eggs in one basket. We're trying to have different ways to kind of attract people to Avon, to again, bring tax base and bring the kind of people to our community that we'd like to have. Again, I know we'd like to have higher salaried people. We've talked about within the program, even the way that we market, to even give a boost to people who have a second income that they're also bringing. So maybe they have a spouse that also has a job, and that maybe then we give them some additional incentives. So we're trying to drive some of our incentives in the program to attract the kind of people and the type of jobs, high earners that we'd like to have.
Remind me where the funding comes from.
It comes from EDIT, which is Economic Development and Income Tax.
When you say 18 people, does that include children or those are working adults?
That does include children, yes.
I've never understood the program. I think if people see Avon as a good community and they want to live here, then they're going to come here. I don't understand paying people to move here. It's never made sense to me. But I'm one of 5, so.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a handful of communities with, like, that partner up with Big Bamboo that don't pay, like, not a very small handful, I would say. So Bloomington would be an example. They offer a 3-year membership to a co-working space, essentially that's probably valued at like $6,000. So there's a way to do it if you have a valuable incentive package, like a non-monetary valuable incentive package. Right now, we don't have that, and the competitive on the site, roughly 95%, probably 98% of
guessing, of the communities do offer some sort of cash incentive. Typically, it's 5,000 per household.
And we're offering 25,500.
Just 5,000 per household is what you're offering right now. And what we line.
Oh, so you're saying for the 5, then we'd be at 25.5.
Yeah, we line item for 30,000 total, which would be 6,000 per household. And that was because Councilman Suzanne last time sort of brought up, hey, it would be a good idea to like go out and maybe grab some local incentives, even if we have to buy them. So maybe like a Hendrix Live package or something else in the community that we could go buy and then sort of beef up the package.
When I,
Can we throw in some awesome pants?
We absolutely can throw in some awesome pants.
Just throwing that out there as an idea.
I mean, I think $50,000, it would be hard to live on a salary of $50,000 in Avon.
Yeah, you haven't had a lot of 50,000.
We had a 50, we had a 65, we had a 57. I'm using your numbers.
Well, again, some of these people are young people, so the goal is you bring them to their community. Maybe they're starting out at that level, but then as they get more jobs or their business grows, a couple of those people they're entrepreneurs, they had their own businesses. And so, yeah, maybe they only had a few customers now, but as their business grows, then eventually maybe, yeah, they move out of the apartment, they buy a home. Like you're bringing people to the community. And if they like living here, then they'll want to stay here and continue to spend their money. I mean, again, that's the concept.
What's the percentage of the people that came from other states?
They're all from other states.
They're all from
That's a
other states.
requirement from the partnership that we have with the
Mhm.
state of Indiana.
Were there changes made to the incentive package between the last time you made this proposal to us and now?
Yes, the last time, I think we came with a much higher, like, sort of in discussions, the proposal we put together had a much higher cash incentive. And then just another thing, kind of from feedback from Ryan, channeled through all of you after the meeting. The idea was not to add more cash to the program, but to maybe come up with some creative incentives that would essentially help the local businesses out as well. So the plan is to keep the cash incentive as it is right now at 5,000 per household, which gets paid out, half of it gets paid out when they commit to move here by signing a mortgage or a lease, and then the other half after they've been here for at least a year.
This is a one-year program, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So they get 5,000 when they commit and then 5,000 a year later?
No, I'm sorry. If I was half of the 5,000, so 2,500, they would get when they sign a
Right.
mortgage or a lease, and then the remaining 2,500 after they've been here for at least a year, so that we can show that there's at least a year of return on investment.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Well, I supported the original one, and this is probably better than the original one that was presented. So I make a motion that we approve, make my move proposal with an amount not to exceed $25,500.
Craig, can I ask you to consider modifying your motion just because the proposal is, that's what our final cost will be?
55,250.
So yeah, can you do the 55,250 at least? And because again, we do have to pay for it and then we'll get reimbursed. Our final cost is a 25,500.
I'll amend my motion and the dollar amount to be,
It would never get to 55,250. That's the max that it would get to. Legitimately would be 25,500 plus like 5,000 for two movers.
Oh, because you're right, because that's not a cost to you. The movers is a cost to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay with the 25,500? If he's setting a maximum, that's the maximum
The max-
I could pay you.
Yeah, the max I think would be like 35,500. It would never get to 55.
What's that?
So
Oh, yeah.
it says Avon to movers overtime, 30,000. If we're paying 5,000 per mover, and we're doing 5 movers. You're a banker. Something doesn't make sense.
5,000 cash plus 1,000 in incentives.
But did we approve the incentives?
Actually go buy incentives within the local community,
Who does that?
make my move, we'll do that.
Oh,
Conjunction.
so you've been doing that since we last spoke, or?
We've done the thing at both meetings, yeah.
We give them $500 to the YMCA. Pay the YMCA $500.
Okay.
That's a gym membership. It's not to the YMCA. It depends where the mover wants to do. We've done one to Anytime Fitness. We've done one to YMCA. We did one to the Murphy Aquatic Park. That's part of the incentive, that we would provide that to them.
So what is the amended dollar amount then?
Greg, I would still ask that you approve it for not to exceed 55,250, understanding that's not all going to make my move. That's based on the proposal. That number is correct. That is also, some of that cost is still our cost for the movers.
So, sorry, just to go back to my point, when you get to the halfway point, the 3 movers, then that's when you get.
Correct. Right, yep.
So if you were only at 2 movers, you would only be actually halfway.
I understand, but from the approval I need from them, I need them to approve for me to pay for the movers as well. So that's what, it's not just to you. The cost of the whole program is potentially 55,250. So I would ask for you to approve that. Or you can just approve the proposal as amended and just leave the dollar amount out.
I approve the proposal as amended.
Was that your motion?
Yep.
I'll second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
Against?
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Don Loudon,
Against.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Appreciate your time.
Next is Resolution 2026-09, Purchase Agreement for Police Substation and Training.
Yeah, I'll introduce this. If you do have questions, Chief Stoops and Anna can help as well. We have done some work, actually, Dan and Anna had a conversation with the attorney for the current owner of the property. They did work out some language, address the concerns that were previously brought up by the council. All of those revisions have been changed, and so what you are reflecting is a purchase agreement based on the acquisition of the property that Tom and Chief Stoops told you guys about previously. The town council did ask us to have Financial Solutions Group do an analysis, and so you do have an analysis from them as well that shows the amortization schedule. It shows the sources and uses, and it also has a cash flow analysis to show that we are able to pay for the purchase agreement as well. This will go to the redevelopment commission as well, assuming the town council approves it. The redevelopment commission would have to approve it as well. So it'll require both of your approval before we could actually execute the purchase agreement. We are proposing to use the HRH TIF. As you guys recall, we paid off the existing loan or the developer purchase bond for HRH. And so that is freeing up that revenue source for us that we didn't have before. And so that's the cash flow. I know we've had some discussions about the Avon Economic Development Area. That's a different TIF district. This TIF district is the HRH TIF. And so that's what we had earmarked when we talked about building the new facility, that over time, we were going to try to do that. And if you guys recall, the capital improvement plan put that out 5 years because there was going to be a much more substantial investment for us to build a new building. This option ends up being much less expensive for us, and it gets us, the police department, into the building probably 5 to 7 years earlier than they would if we tried to build our own facility. Again, we've put in about a $2.5 million budget, about $1.5 million to purchase the property, and then there's another $1 million in there for improvements and remodeling. cleaning up the property. As you guys are aware, there's lead in the building. And so all of those things are in the remodeling budget, and we're anticipating those things. So again, I think we've covered all those bases, and we do recommend approval. And again, we're all happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
If I remember correctly, the owner was willing to carry this for a couple of years to help us avoid closing costs, essentially. But I'm seeing closing costs included here, almost $400,000 worth of. If we're gonna go that route, why would we not try to get a better interest rate at an actual lender?
Where are you seeing closing costs at, Robert?
It's on the
estimated.
Veritas breakdown.
Yeah, page 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
1.
305. 305.
And do we have that was one of my questions. Do we have a breakdown, itemization of what those closing costs are?
I was gonna say, I don't see where you're seeing closing costs.
Do you see Greg Garrett's analysis?
That's at the closing, the 390,000. That's our payment at the closing. That's not closing cost.
So that's down payment or?
No, so remember we were making 3 payments. So we're doing 10,000 in earnest money. Then we're paying 390 at the closing. And then about the $1,053,000 is the carrying cost that the developer is holding at a 5% interest rate. So that means we pay 5%. The cost of the 5% is the $78,975. The $1,047,000 is our renovation cost. So he just listed that as closing cost, but that's the payment at closing.
Roger. Okay.
We are not paying closing costs.
And just to double down on this, because I'm looking at the purchase agreement, and we talks about buyer's closing costs as well. I mean, it doesn't have a number. Page 5, section F.
I think what he's saying there, those are costs that we're responsible for,
But not necessarily that there are any.
or like the cost of a survey. Did we get a survey? That's a question I have.
We did not get a survey. We had an actual survey from when the building was originally built. So Mike Tully pulled that for us. So we don't intend to pay for a survey. The title work, we did already order. They ordered title work. It's their responsibility. So we may have a little bit of the cost of half the cost of the title work. But again, we're talking about a couple $100. It's not a lot.
Okay.
Title work's based on the amount of the value of the property. So it's going to be more than a couple hundred.
Okay.
Well, it'll be based on the dollar amount of our coverage, and his coverage is whatever the remaining balance is.
Right. Yeah.
My biggest comment, I mean, I've looked at this and I can share all my comments. I don't want to waste everybody's time, but is the environmental. And I read the environmental and I talked to Tom and Sean about it. And the only thing that it looks like they wipe down and have lead, different levels of lead in different areas of the building. And within that report, it did not say anything about any future remediation or going in from a phase 1 to a phase 2. So my question to you gentlemen, you're comfortable with that report?
Yes, we are.
You stated, I believe, last time that you want to oversee the remediation of it so that you know what's being done.
Right.
Rather than asking the seller to do the remediation.
Right. And that way, if there is something that's not sufficiently done, we can hold them to that contract. Whether it takes them 3 weeks or 6 weeks, it's not to exceed a certain amount. So it's to be done until it tests in the acceptable range at below that. It's what we're shooting for. So.
Well, my concern though, it says in this due diligence, buyer has completed all of its due diligence and inspections of the property prior to the effective date. Buyer therefore hereby waives any due diligence rights regarding the property and agrees to accept the property at closing as is, whereas the condition is more practically described in section 10. And section 10 is building sold as is and everything is black and bolded. So they want to make certain that we understand we're getting it the way it sits.
And it's not just because of the lead, it's because there's a lot of mechanical failure that has taken place with the range itself. And they don't want to be left on the hook for us coming after them to say that what they need to pay to fix any of that. So it's not just the lead, there's a lot of other issues there. It's kind of like buying a used car, and it's got some issues, and when you buy it, you know you're gonna have to fix it. You know, you're gonna have to put tires on it and struts and brakes and all that stuff, but you're getting such a good deal on it that it's worth it to put that extra money in to bring it back up to the standard you need it at.
Then when I look at the purchase price on page 2, there's some numbers that are off. It's $500. Are we buying it for $1,052,500? Or if you look at Greg Garitas's numbers, we're buying it for $1,053,000. Are we paying them $2,526,500? Are we paying them $526,250? I mean, this administrative numbers that are here. And then the last payment on Greg's is January 1st. And they're giving us to January 5th, so why wouldn't those dates tie together? Why would you have a maturity date on your note of January 5th, but we have to make our last payment January 1st, and we're not even open January 1st? It's just, they're just little things. And then on the note itself, the note of the seller is Avon May LLC, and it should be Avon Map LLC. And again, it's the dollar amount. Their default rate is 10%. We don't want a default rate of 10%. I put in a default rate of 3%, not 10. And then on the very last page, on the mortgage, they doubled the default or the amount of the mortgage. It really doesn't matter because your title insurance is what you're paying for, but the maximum indebtedness is $2,104,000. The maximum indebtedness should be the amount of our note. That's it, $1,052,000. Or whatever that number ends up being, or 250 or Fountain City or wherever. So those are just things. So if you want me to sit down with you, I can go over them with you and share it with you. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest hurdle here is that environmental. And if we're comfortable with that, then let's do it.
And you have your quotes on the environmental? And we have, that's been budgeted as well?
Yes, it's not to exceed 75,000. That's what
Right.
reduced the average.
The last time. Yeah, okay.
And
Okay,
then, well, one last question. They're going to prorate the taxes to the closing date because our building will be tax exempt from property taxes. Is that correct?
Not normally. Normally it takes, because you know that you're paying in the rear. So we would probably have to pay taxes for this year when we own it. But then as of March 1st, it would go away.
They'll pay
Or
taxes up to
January
the
1st would
closing
go.
date, then we'll pay taxes from that date
From
to
that
the
date
end of the year.
to the end of the year,
Mhm.
correct. And then it should go tax exempt after
Right.
that.
But that is not in this analysis. It's above and beyond that.
Okay, we'll look at that.
And then I'd like to see a copy of the closing statement too. So with all that said, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-09, approving a purchase agreement for real estate purchase from Avon Map LLC. Do I need to put a dollar amount in there?
Do we need to include
the
the
changes that
amendments
you
that Greg
just-
has asked
yeah.
The
to be
amended
made?
changes that I will share with you.
Subject to legal counsel review and acceptance. And by seller, that's correct. I mean, the other thing, if there's any substantial changes, we have to get the seller to agree to it.
Where did this come from?
Seller's attorney.
yeah. But we've reviewed it, correct? But
So do we need to not approve this tonight and wait for this to come back with these changes made?
You have two options. You can go back to the seller requesting these changes, and they may accept them or they may not accept them, or you can approve the agreement. They may be willing to make minor changes, but as to substantial changes, they might not. So I can't really tell you what to do with that regard. That's a risk you'll take that they may walk away from the deal.
I think we're just asking for clarification on dollar amounts that aren't consistent through the document. And
We can certainly seek clarification, but if it substantially changes the agreement, we'd have to get the seller to agree to it.
I think the only thing was the 10 to 3%. Everything else, they ought to.
Yeah, it seems administrative, clerical, if you will.
I don't see any of these things an issue that would kill the deal. I know the attorney who drafted this, so he represents banks and he's thinking of, that's how he thinks when he represents banks. I mean, we double our mortgages sometimes. It's nothing that he's doing illegal or wrong, but I'd rather not see that there. Typically, when you add more than what you're getting, say you're doing a construction loan and 6 months into it, you may have overruns. Well, instead of going out and doing a whole new mortgage again, you got yourself covered that you can do advances on that without going out and getting a new mortgage. So makes things a little bit easier. And the default rate is a standard default rate. They probably put 10 in because no one reads it. So.
Except bankers.
Yeah. That sit on town councils.
Say what?
Bankers that sit on town councils.
You made a motion, Greg, and Brian and Anna added some amendments. I just want to clarify, are you okay with those amendments to your motion?
Yeah, I can amend my motion to attorney review and acceptance and the amended portion accepted by the seller's counsel.
I'll second.
thank you, Julie. Roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Resolution 2026-10, naming our parks and trails.
Hello again. Before you is Resolution 2026-10 to formally name our certain municipal parks, trails, and recreational facilities that the town owns, and one leased facility. As you guys know, I've talked about it a lot. None of our park properties have ever gone through an official naming process. I think with our improvements of these parks and potentially keep growing properties, I think that it's very important that we name them and we can refer to them as such and the community can refer to them as such. So I won't list all of the whereas, but I would ask that we name the parks Foundation Ballpark, Apex Ballpark, the Summit Indoor Training, which is the leased facility, Woodhaven Park, White Lick Trail, Burnett Woods Park and Nature Preserve, World War II Memorial Park, the Pickle Patch, and Blue Heron Park.
Is the White Lake Trail one what we had formerly known or previously known as Summer Lot?
No, that's just the White Lick Trail, the trail from 100 North to 100 South.
Okay.
We talked about this offline. I just want to make sure it's for the record. Apex is completely capitalized and therefore looks like it's an acronym to me. Is that just a typo? Is the name of it is just Apex? It's not
Yep.
some acronym.
Just Apex.
Roger, thank you.
Yep.
If no more discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-10, naming town parks and trails as presented.
I'll second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
Four.
Bill Holland.
Thank you.
Next is final reading of ordinance 2026-04 prohibiting obstruction of mailboxes.
Yes, this is for final reading. This ordinance would, as it states, prohibit the obstruction of mailboxes. What it would do is it would declare it a nuisance and allow our officers to either initiate an ordinance violation or even tow vehicles that are blocking mailboxes. This is to prevent inhibiting the delivery of mail and for people to be able to access their mailboxes so they can receive their mail. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
The police have seen this, they're on board.
Yes.
I have a question that I thought about since our last meeting. Could we possibly put in hours that would be coexistence with mail delivery times? In other words, if a neighbor decides to have a gathering at their home in the evening hours and they're blocking a mailbox up until, 6 a.m. or something like that, is there, I'm just asking.
You certainly can. If you would like to do so, we could include that in the ordinance. It's designed to just, whenever there are USPS would be out or any other delivery people, which could potentially be those outside of USPS. But again, we could definitely include that if you wanted to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but no one other than the Postal Service should be touching anything inside of a mailbox, correct?
Not usually, no. Doesn't mean it doesn't
So if they're
occur.
blocked, Amazon's blocked from getting in your mailbox and they're not supposed to be, right?
Right. I don't know, I'm just thinking that kind of softens it, and it might keep our officers from having to go out during non-mail delivery hours.
What are those mail delivery hours?
I don't know. I would say if there is even a 12-hour period or something like that. I'm just asking.
I would ask that you don't do that. It's going to be very hard for us to track. If you say mail delivery, I don't even know what hours the mail delivers on the weekdays, and that may be different on the weekends. I know then you're going to get into maybe the whole ball game of, well, my mail carrier always brings our mail here at 11 o'clock every day. And so now they've already supposed to have been here, so I parked here at 11:30, but they're running late that day. So now it's 12, and I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to park here because normally they're already gone. That's going to be a hassle.
And can you just reiterate, I know we talked about this already, but it's not your intention to go out and police these infractions. It's if somebody's abusing, a neighbor or whatever, and that you get a phone call.
Correct. It's not our intention to be doing active patrols for mailbox parking ordinance violations. These will be things where we may have a little bit more ability to intervene in neighborhood disputes. And generally, they'll result in almost always, I would say, a verbal warning. Usually, that's the way we work to try to gain compliance. And then we escalate from there if we have to with warnings or ordinance violations or whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-04 prohibiting obstruction of mailboxes as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland.
4.
Final reading of ordinance 2026-05, the Buy Money Program and Fund.
Yes, I'll take this one. This ordinance would establish the Buy Money Program and a fund for, to deposit those appropriated funds into that fund. So this program would be administered by the police department. The money that they receive from your appropriation or from other sources would go into this new fund that you're creating. You're also doing an appropriation tonight in the amount of $10,000. In addition to that, you are also amending your internal controls. If you'll remember, we had you guys update your internal controls at the end of last year. We have worked with the chief and he's requested a couple changes, so those are reflected here as well. So primarily what this is setting up is a documentation program. The internal controls backs that up, which is what we're required to do based on direction from the state. But otherwise, it'll be administered by the police. So if you guys have any question, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
The police are okay with this, the way the language?
Yes, we provided it to them and they worked with us on this.
Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance establishing a buy money program and fund as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
Or
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Final reading of ordinance 2026-06, the zoning amendment for 25-03, the gatherings.
Thank you, President Loudon, members of the council. Paul Lambie, Senior Planner. This is a zoning map amendment to rezone a little over 2 acres from the I-2 General Industrial District to the C2 General Commercial District. The site is the former lumber yard along the south side of 36 between Dan Jones and Satori Parkway, which redeveloped about 20 years ago. It's got a commercial retail building out front on Lot 1, which was rezoned to C2 20 years ago when the site redeveloped, and that's got various commercial retail uses in it. The subject property for this rezoning is Lot 2, which is the lot to the south or behind that building that fronts US 36, where there are 2 buildings there that remained zoned I2 after the redevelopment. There was an electrical contractor, which is I2 use, that was there for most of that 20 years. There was a special exception for a indoor recreation use, which is a commercial use. And then over time, more commercial retail type uses just kind of came in and took over some of the space without either really being noticed by the town's planning and building department that they weren't compliant with the I2 zoning and didn't generate any complaints as far as we're aware. Right now, there's a specialty grocer, a dance studio, martial arts studio. All of those are permitted C2 uses, as well as an auto detailing use, and those are not permitted in the I2. The reason this came about is because Advanced Automotive, who is in the front building, applied for a variance to expand their use, and in the staff's review of that request, we uncovered that there were these nonconformities at the site, not just the non-permitted uses, but deficient landscaping and parking lot issues, which we expect to be brought into compliance this spring. But we recommended to the owner that it would be appropriate for them to request to rezone this property, Lot 2, from I2 to C2 to formally legally establish those commercial retail uses that exist there. This came before you for an introduction by the owner's representative on January 8th. There weren't any specific concerns raised by council. Plan Commission held a public hearing on February 23rd where they considered the 5 statutorily required criteria for a zoning map amendment. They agreed that those were met and passed a favorable recommendation by a 5-0 vote. We look at this as basically kind of a zoning housekeeping issue to make the zoning consistent with the longstanding uses there. So we recommend approval of this ordinance and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So you probably said it, but really all the businesses that are in there are C2 businesses.
Correct.
Any comments or questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-06, amending the, approving the request to rezone as presented.
Second.
Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Craig Zuzen,
Or
Don Loudon,
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Thanks, Paul. Legal counsel report. Second of 2 public comment periods. No one jumping up. Council comments.
I have none.
No, everyone's shaking their head. Council calendar, Ryan.
Yeah, I do have 2 things for you. That, as you guys know, there's certain things that allow us to have an executive session, and we have had something arise that requires us to do an executive session sooner rather than later. It would be a joint executive session with the Stormwater Board. And so we've got a couple of dates to see if you guys would be available. Ideally, March 19th would be the best date, which would be next Thursday at 7 p.m. If that wouldn't work, the next time I would propose is on the 26th at probably 5:30, which would be right before the council meeting. But I would be unable to be at that meeting if you guys do it then. So I prefer if you could make it work on the 19th at 7 p.m. Again, an hour probably is sufficient.
I will be out of town on the 19th.
Either date works for me.
You what?
Yeah, same. Either day works for me, but I'd agree with you. I'd prefer it sooner rather than later with what's going on.
And that's fine. You can do it without me. That's fine. I'll give you my proxy.
Bill? No way. Okay. Did you prefer 19th? Tom, did you say?
Yes, I'll be out of town, but I'll get back in town.
No.
I mean, if it needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Right.
I don't know the situation, so.
Would another day next week work better than the 19th for everybody? Yeah. I would say we probably can't do it on Monday, so Tuesday or Wednesday, we have to check and see that Dan can make it.
I was going to say that's a consideration because
It is.
softball and it has to be late for him.
Friday's probably the only day, other day that I can make work.
I'm available
19th is the only
Friday.
day You can make it.
19th or the 20th.
Or the 20th.
I could on the 20th.
You're still out of town now.
I'm leaving the 19th and coming back the 22nd.
Okay.
Can we do it by Zoom since it's executive?
I'll be on an airplane. So,
Why are you so difficult?
well, maybe, yeah.
You can zoom in. We just need a majority of people here.
So even though it's an executive session and we're not live here, we have to presently be here?
Yeah, the open door law still applies for the presence of people, so you still need a majority. As long as 3 people were here, you could zoom in. That would be fine.
Bill,
Yeah, so if the 3 of you are here.
Jason, and myself will be here
Greg, it's fine. If you're on the plane, then it doesn't work.
on the 19th.
We're talking 19th, not the 20th.
Yeah, we're on the 19th.
Okay.
On the 19th, I could Zoom.
Okay.
Correct. As long as Bill, Jason, and myself are able to make it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll work on that and confirm with you guys. I need to confirm the Stormwater Board can make it as well. 7 p.m. Dan said the later the better.
And if the Stormwater Board cannot do it on the 19th and we move to the 20th, it would still be at 7?
Sorry, say that again, Tom.
The Stormwater Board, if they're not available with a quorum on the 19th,
Then the
We would-
fallback would be 7 p.m. on the 20th.
okay.
I don't know that, because I'll have to check with Dan. I don't know if Dan's available or not. The fallback may be 5:30 on the 26th,
Okay,
at which point I'd come in by Zoom.
okay.
Teams or whatever.
I would not.
Yeah, and then we lose Bill.
Yeah, we lose Bill.
Okay, let me work on it. I'll send out an invite to you guys and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next council meeting's the 26th at 7 p.m. No work session.
That's spring break, right?
That is spring break. I won't be here. If anyone else won't be here, please let me know or Dawn know, please, if you can't attend. We
Okay.
do have a couple items.
Meeting adjourned.